What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Moody?
All right. What's up? What's up, Samson?
Not much. Late as usual, but hey, always there when you call, but I'm always on time. No, we're always late. Not much, man. Glad that it seems like we're finally pushing through this fucking goddamn winter weather. It's gonna be apparently cold tomorrow, but at
Hopefully
least for like
so.
the last few days, we've had like 60 degrees. I've been out in shorts in a couple of these days, so can't complain.
Yeah, I've actually sweated in my hoodie at work at night when I'm like walking between the buildings and it's still
Yeah,
like 50 degrees sometimes. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
shit. So that's a
Same
good
thing
sign.
here.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm chilling in my apartment, and usually I got like without I got like the AC and the heater are both off, and so I'm like, oh, let me crack open window because it's getting kind of hot in this room. So let me just
Hmm.
like kind of like get some fresh air in. So hopefully this is more consistent rather than just being a flash in the pan because I'm kind of done with winter.
I'm going to say, if anything, fingers crossed that it's like, we know for sure we're done with winter in April. So you can always just look towards the end of the month. So we only
Yeah,
got a month left.
I'm always holding out, especially in the DMV Mid Atlantic area. I'm like, there's always one
A
snowstorm
late
in
storm. Yeah,
March.
late storm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's get into these Percies, and I'll kick mine off because we were just kind of talking about it pre-show. But in the pre-show, I had mentioned to you that I'm like, sometimes we add these things to our Notion doc, like these Percies or Champions of the Week, like a little earlier in the week because they're kind of like
Hmm.
a flashbulb moment that we just want to kind of capture and not forget. Earlier this week, I had put my Percy as respect to Too Fast and Furious, and I think a lot of that comes from the part that I told you. I watch a lot of reaction channels, and so I just got into this binge of watching people watch through the Fast and Furious franchise for the first time, which, again, love the franchise. As much as 10 pisses me off, I think the reason 10 pisses me off the most is because they decided to retcon Fast and Furious 5, and I'm like, why touch perfection?
Yeah, right. That is the best one. As I said
Uh,
before the pre-show, that's the best cross section of all of the Fast and Furious is
yeah,
Fast Five for sure.
that's my biggest problem. To be like, yeah, Jason Momoa was here the entire goddamn time. Like, no,
He was adjacent to the truck that exploded and he got knocked off the fucking bridge. It's so stupid.
just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. But I say all that to say, and through all those rewatches, man, I love Too Fast and Furious. I get it. It is not the best Fast and Furious movie. It's not even like that. It's an all right movie. It ain't terrible. It's a fun movie, and I wish we had some style of that kind of movie because even though you didn't have Dom, Tyrese was a great addition to the
Super,
film.
super fucking hungry. We hungry.
So many quotables,
Yeah,
especially
for
coming
sure.
from Tyrese, like the "We hungry," like your pockets ain't empty. Brian with his cuh, like the chase scenes
when he's like, when he
right?
turns around on the highway and
Yeah,
flips him
the
off. I
opening
remember
chase scene when they have to go to the boatyard, like there's so many good moments. And then
that.
Carter Verone, not the best villain, but he has one of the most iconic villain scenes when he put that goddamn rat on top of that goddamn cop's stomach and then lit the bucket.
Yeah,
Bruh,
the blowtorch. He put a blowtorch on the bucket.
Yeah. I was like, bruh, that Too Fast and Furious. I will hold down in my Fast and Furious power rankings. One is Fast 5.
Mm-hmm.
7, I would put as 2.
7 is up there. Yeah,
7 is great, even without like the unfortunate Paul Walker circumstances. I think that movie was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I would go 1.
I think I would have. It's funny because I never power ranked them before, but like right now I'm lockstep with you with 2 and 7. I can see 7 being number 2 for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
5, 7. I'm gonna go
1.
5, 7, 2, 1, 8.
It's funny because I probably would have Tokyo Drift in my top 5.
I like Tokyo Drift too, but I like Tokyo Drift more for the culture rather than the actual movie.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like that feels like such like a cultural touchstone. That was like, besides anime, that was the other reason I wanted to go. When you see Bow Wow and he like gets his car out of the elevator, and that's the first time you see a car elevator as an American too, up until Carvana recently. But then that shit turns around and he got like the Hulk Buster like
Yeah.
Scion XB or whatever that was. That shit was hard. That was hard. So,
but yeah, I would have to put. I would put 2 above 1. But that's personal. If somebody wanted to put 1 above 2, sure. 2 is a little bit more.
2 is better. Yeah, I like the
2 is a little bit more
better.
funner of a movie to me. 1 and then 8, and I put 8 up there because Charlize Theron I think is probably one of the best new additions, additions that they've put into this series since Han.
Yeah, Charlize, that's my bae too. She's one of my favorite, like white women actresses. So she up there for me. But
no, Too Fast and Too Furious is great, and John Singleton movie. Yeah. John Singleton did that, man. Like, great film, great scenes. Like, we need to bring back Suki. Where has she been?
Absolutely.
Where's Suki been?
Somewhere, I'm sure. That's what's
if we got
cousin.
One more Fast and Furious movie, we gotta bring back everybody.
That's Steve Aoki's sister.
Yeah.
Devin Aoki. So
yeah.
I mean, she around. She probably just sitting in her palace right now. Their dad invented freaking Sizzler or whatever the fuck.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, we already know in these films that there is no
circumstance. Like Star Wars, nobody dies. Yeah,
nobody dies. Like, literally, they brought back like it's fun. I like both Han and I like what's Gal Gadot's name in that. Series,
I forget. Yeah, I forget. I ain't seen them. You'd be better at that than I would.
Giselle, is it Giselle?
Yeah, possibly.
I think her name's Giselle. Mm-hmm. I like both of their characters. I love that. When they brought back Han, I was like, but Han's a fan favorite. I just want some stakes, man. You can't bring back everybody that dies, but if you're gonna do that, that means old dude from Fast and Furious 1 that died in 5. You remember the dude with the beard? He got Dominic ended up leaving him the money to his wife.
Oh, him. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
He could probably come back.
Yeah, right.
He could probably come back. I bet you his son, that he was a little baby in that one, I guarantee you he's partnered up with goddamn Jason Momoa's character in Fast and 11. I guarantee you. Just bring back everybody. Everybody.
Yep, Giselle. That was her name.
That's what I'm saying. If we got no stakes in this, because that was a great death scene for her.
Yeah, it was
a great death scene for her in 6. And then to just be like, oh no, she was in a submarine in Antarctica for fucking 10 years.
Like, what? All right.
Get out of here. I'm done. Just respect the 2 Fast and Furious. It's one of the better Fast and Furious.
Yeah, you chewed on this way too long because you see my other Percy up here. We were supposed to chew on this other one, but this one is going to be super quick. I'm back from the couch because y'all know I ain't going to the movies like that. Mm-hmm. The best role that you didn't know John Cena had, possibly? Have you seen Tour de Pharmacy?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, the best John Cena role you never knew about. But this is effectively, it's just an SNL, mini movie because it's one of those Andy Samberg ones. Mm-hmm. But the premise of it, it's just the Tour de France documentary of 1982, but every single rider in it is doping. Like every single bike rider is doping. Lance Armstrong has an appearance in it. And this movie is literally only like 42 minutes, 44 minutes. So it's literally like an episode. You know what I'm saying? Prestige television. Yeah. But Orlando Bloom, Andy Samberg, John Cena, which he plays him and Dolph Lundgren play the same person because, it's like back in the day and now, the documentary of them being interviewed. And yeah, he's a fucking riot. So I had a decent amount of fun with this just for it to, like I said, it's just the extended, how SNL is, Andy Samberg stuff is. Mm-hmm. But I was just, as much, wrestling content as that we take in, for whatever reason, my YouTube algorithm decided to bring me a short of John Cena as his character in this. And I was like, what the fuck is this? But it's from 2017 called Tour de Pharmacy. You can watch it on Max. And it's fun enough for me. Like I said, just for the John Cena of it, I'm like, okay, cool. I had no idea this even existed.
I mean, there's a lot of names. You got Daveed Diggs in here. You got Kevin Bacon.
It's a fuckload of people in here. But
John
it's like,
Hamm is narrating it. James Marsden.
Yep. James Marsden, he's the actual like field reporter. Like,
Jeff
back in the day, like
Goldblum, Danny Glover.
Yep. Maya Rudolph, Kevin Bacon, Felicia Rashad.
Jesus.
Like, yeah. You just keep going.
Nathan Fielder, Edgar Wright,
Mike Tyson, Joe Buck, Chris Webber.
Yeah.
So you can tell they just had fun. They just had fun.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah. And the real Percy that we were supposed to get to in 5 minutes, 10 minutes in right now.
This is way too much of a conversation to even have as a Percy. We'll talk about it. I'm just saying the full breadth. We're definitely going to be talking about this after the show. So let's just at least give it a little teaser conversation.
Yeah. Been great this season. I know you've been waiting on me to catch up more than anything. So, because I don't know who else you talking to Severance about, or who else you talking
to everybody about Severance.
But who are you talking like Joanna and
my mom? My mom is catching up, so she finally finished up season 1, and she saw a little bit of season 2, but that was before she watched season 1. So I was like, you need to go watch season 1, because she watched like the first 3 episodes of season 2. And I'm like, Mom, before you watch episode 4 of season 2, you need to go back and watch you need to go back and watch season 1. And so she's caught up, and she's going to be watching through season 2. And I told my neighbor as well to hurry up and catch up on it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. You ain't got nobody to Mal and Joe with you. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, cause that's why you tell people, because you want them to do the same thing. But either way, yeah, you were right about like episode 4 being the weirdest, or like, getting stuff in gear, where I was like, man, that was great. Irving episode. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole seeing, the Witch of Woe or whatever the fuck her name was, and that, like, when he fell asleep outside of the woods. That was a dope ass, like, thriller horror moment, that we hadn't seen before. Most recent episode, number 7, loved it with Gemma, a more Gemma focused episode, and like they really focused on, like, I was blown away by the transition scenes, or how they transitioned in that one. Making it feel very disorienting and not knowing like what date, time, place, who we are in the moment. And that was really good. I very, very much enjoyed episode 7.
Yeah.
And it's funny because obviously we've seen Gemma on the severed floor, but we got to see like layered Severance in this most recent episode, basically. So it's just like, yeah, why wouldn't you think of it like that? Because homegirl, like his sister, main character's sister, Adam Scott's sister, was like, oh yeah, my homegirl didn't even recognize me because she severed her pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When she went to go visit her, and she didn't recognize her when she said hello next time. So yeah, great theory show. Glad I caught up. And we got 3 episodes left? Was there 8 episodes or 10 episodes?
There's 10 this year.
Okay, good. Because I was like, when I watched the Gemma episode, I was like, it could be episode before last, but there's a whole lot of 8 episode like season things right now. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we could like wrap all of this shit up like, next episode. But I'm glad to hear that it's
I believe there's 10, because last year was the first season was 9, and I think they bumped it up to 10 this year. I'll start off, first of all, episode 4, the Irv episode, where he figures out that Helly is really Helena and she's basically not turned off. That was amazing, especially when like he started to drown her in that water, and then she's like, Seth, like take off the protocol, and then he's like, yes, Seth.
Yeah,
like,
that was
I was like, John Turturro, just give him. Each one of these dudes are even Dylan, the guy, Zach Cherry, they're all gunning for an award.
I mean, Zach, this is the most attention Zach has ever gotten for sure. Because prior to this, he's just like the extra in MCU. Movies.
Yeah. Or if you know him on like some obscure comedy shows and shit like that. But
I'm sure for for public consciousness, Western media, it's like this is what's going to anchor him down. Like in public consciousness, is this.
He's killing it on both sides, especially when he has those conversations with his wife as his innie.
Yeah.
Oh man, like you could see, I didn't think this guy would have such a strong, like dramatic.
That's what's good about it, because it's like you gotta give room the space for it, and it's like when you get that initial typecast, It's like, I don't want to just say hard to dig out of it because it's like he's not typecast if you're just doing cameos, but then you don't want to just be the cameo guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
you don't want to be like the fat guy that just makes all these like, you know, keeps it like lighthearted and stuff like that. Like I said, the range that he's able to show, and all of them are able to show, but are just amazing.
And I like it. I really love his character on the show because I'll say he's the most secular of even the any people. Like I think he's like the most like well-grounded where it's like, or he's the person I think of as most normal. Yeah. Like Adam Scott is like the guy, like as their innies, he just takes things like way too seriously. And like you care about your job way too much kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And but like when shit starts hitting the fan and like Zach is clearly just being the voice of like, I think our public reason when in the beginning of season 2 and we see Miss Wan and he's like, why the fuck are you a child? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's what
she's killing it too.
She's like, yeah. And for him to call out a 12-year-old, you're like, yeah, what the fuck is this 12-year-old doing here?
Yeah.
Like, she's my boss. Like, and that's like some high key shit that I would do. I kirk off on people at work. I don't be playing that shit. I mean, I play that, you know, angry black man stereotype very well if I got to. We'll talk more about off pod. There's a story I got for you too.
My last point on Severance is as we I'll move it up to this current week's episode 7. It is visually a great episode. I understand the scenes that are happening. I need to watch it one more time. I've only seen it one time.
Oh, for sure.
But I as I was watching it, I was asking myself, I don't know what I'm really watching here.
It's very disorienting. Yeah.
I was like, especially the moment where Gemma tries to escape.
One viewer out there, we're talking about Severance in case you're not caught up. Appreciate you
spoilers. Especially when Gemma tries to escape. And then, like, she gets up the elevator, and then she walks out, and then, like, Milchek is there. I was like, and then he called, but the thing is, he called her Miss Casey, and I'm like, so is she like, she doesn't even know in that mind that she was trying to escape.
Yeah, because everything is wiped. Like you only remember what the last thing was when you were there in that severed floor or in that severed state. So the last thing that she would remember as Miss Casey would be going down the elevator. You know what I'm saying?
And is Mark's and is their relationship even real, or was that manufactured through Lumen? Like, is she a robot that was sent outside by Lumen? Like, I don't know. That's why I'm like, I need to watch this again because of everything that was happening. I get the scenes that were happening, but I'm like, I don't know exactly what I'm watching anymore.
Yeah,
it got a little too meta for me that I need to like watch it again to really understand what I just watched.
Yeah, but it was crazy for sure.
It's insane. I can't wait for these next 3 episodes. I hope they don't give us another 3-year break and they come back sooner because this is ridiculous.
But you'll wait for it.
Just give them all the Emmys. Just give them all the Emmys next year, man. Like this is great television.
38's not that far away. 38's fine. When I'm that old.
Oh, Ben Stiller, please don't do that to us. Please don't do that to us. Anything else before we get into the show? Or can we start the show?
Let's go. Yeah, let's get started.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
Through the crowd is the Habasha Samson. You're my tag team partner.
The French fry throw, Moody, coming off the top rope. This is the Wrestling Rehab Podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling.
Follow us on our socials. Instagram, this YouTube channel. Send us an email at thewrestlingrehab@gmail.com. All socials at The Wrestling Rehab. No hyphen.
Hey, what's good? What happened to our background? It looks like. Oh, there we go. What's up, everyone? Episode 34 of the Wrestling Rehab Podcast. And we have a pop-up show tonight in WWE's Elimination Chamber in Toronto, Canada, which means we got predictions coming up near the end of the show. But before that, we got to go through the go home week for WWE and the penultimate go home week for AEW as they have AEW Revolution next week. But a lot of stuff to get through. But I guess before we head into this flagship show, let's start off with some current events. And I guess we can kind of kill both of these current events with in one conversation.
Okay.
But the first one that came through was Ryan Nemeth, brother to Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, or formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, filed a lawsuit against AEW, Tony Khan, and Phil Brooks, effectively alleging workplace. They alleges assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and intentional interference with prospective advantage. Basically saying that Tony Khan and his the way he was booking and treating others was kind of playing a lot of favoritism, especially in regards to CM Punk, who apparently CM Punk did not have a good relationship with Nick Nemeth.
And for our viewers out there, Phil Brooks is CM Punk. That's why the people be joking and calling him Pepsi Phil.
Okay. And that is culminated into a lawsuit. And there's a lot of stuff in here. It kind of goes through some of the stuff we know as far as just keeping up within the wrestling industry, as far as some of the things that they talked about. That was the first bit of news that came out. And then to tie it up, so we killed two birds with one stone, it also came out later in the day that there is a decrease in morale at WWE. And this says, at the same time as the company is posting record financial results in TKO era, multiple current WWE employees have described a decline in morale tied to reduced benefits, pay increases being limited, plus heavier workloads. And while management has emphasized the value of its workforce during town hall meetings, multiple staff say they feel increasingly undervalued. So a lot of news in both sides of the wrestling world. A lot of this is directed to WWE in one sense because of the morale, and then obviously CM Punk is now a WWE employee, but the lawsuit is in regards to his AEW tenureship, and then Tony Khan. Start off with the Ryan Nemeth lawsuit. What are your thoughts on that, especially with you probably being a little bit more familiar with the AEW?
That was. It's funny because, like, I mean, I don't know what the drama backstage, between them would have been. I mean, as simple as, explaining, like you just talking about, like, the favoritism, that's very clear. Obviously, Tony had a favoritism for CM Punk, started a whole nother show for him. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't work with certain other people. So this doesn't surprise me just hearing that. I'm basing it off of just that. It's not like, we're tapped in backstage and know what's actually happening. But just knowing that we got confirmed, like, multiple, run-ins with Phil or CM Punk, you know what I'm saying? And plenty of drama during that time. Who came out looking worse or better? I think they both looked bad in that moment. So this doesn't, like, surprise me. I think it's just another kind of a black eye, I guess. Now that we're out of, CM Punk and AEW era, like, player coach CM Punk and AEW, I guess it's more of a black eye for AEW, if anything. I mean, however much, they're being sued for, I don't know, but it was tumultuous. That's, like, relatively confirmed. You know what I'm saying, with CM Punk there. So, not to mention, like, if there was any moment that was probably his second, like, pipe bomb, it would be that post All Out or post Brawl Out. You know what I'm saying, when he's AEW champion and sort of sitting on AEW, like, right next to Tony Khan in the press conference. And I haven't watched that in a while, so correct me on that later, but it's believable, if anything. Run those pockets, Phil. if you did my man Ryan wrong, it's simple as that.
From what I read in the article, I'm like, okay, like, all of it seems pretty legitimate as far as his complaints and things. Again, some things, like, we've heard just through, like, articles and through that have been posted throughout from wrestling news sources and whatnot. Again, I'm not a lawyer in anything of this, but as far as the things that relate to CM Punk, I'm sure there's a lot of truth into it. And then I think CM Punk probably get in trouble for, like, workplace harassment. But at the end of the day, a lot of this is insinuating that because of Punk's relationship with Tony Khan, or because of Tony Khan's affinity for CM
For
Punk,
CM Punk, yeah, he got away with shit. Yeah.
decisions that were against not only him but possibly other wrestlers. And from a legal perspective, I'm like, good luck trying to prove that. Not can't prove it, but I'm like, that's a hard thing to prove.
That's a hard case, yeah.
And so, do I think Tony made decisions based off of personal affinity? Sure, but like, who else hasn't probably made that before as well? I'm sure Triple H is doing that as well. Shawn Michaels is doing that and stuff like that. So it is it's something that, again, it's too early, I think, to speak on it. But I think if this continues and we get more articles and, you know, the lawsuit actually takes, you know, goes into actual court, it'd be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what comes out of that.
Yeah. And not for nothing, I think it's important to bring up the point that, you know, Tony Khan does come from, like, well, not a football family, but technically a football family, where really a business owner. He comes from a very successful businessman. His father is the richest Pakistani man in the world. And when I think of, as we're having this conversation, it just makes me think of Shad in the sense of, like, Shad's a bad owner, but it's not like he's intentionally harming it. But what does he do that's good? The good thing that he does do as a business owner is like, okay, I don't know football. He hires his football guys and then he gets out of the way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if Tony was taking that same approach, I could see there being some conflict with, like, oh, you know, I got my guy CM Punk, I gave him the bag and he'll be my player coach. And, like, basically he's just Bill Belichick of Rampage or Collision, whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? And I could see that definitely running into some pickups backstage when it's like, yo, he's part of the roster. Why do we have to do shit that this guy says? Now that I think about it. So
there was something I read in this this lawsuit that they had posted within it. It said AEW is owned by Shad and Tony Khan. Shad is the owner of the NFL franchise Jacksonville Jaguars. When his son Tony managed to alienate most everyone within the Jaguars organization, including star NFL players, Tony was moved to a leadership role in the Khan family-owned Fulham Football Club. Tony ended up mismanaging Fulham, leading to multiple lawsuits against the club. Since he was a child, Tony loved professional wrestling and had an obsession with certain wrestlers. The Khan family formed AEW to provide Tony with something to do safely away from the family's other ventures. Tony serves as the AEW chief executive officer.
That's crazy writing right there. That's crazy writing. Just the way that reads, you know, off the tongue. Like, hearing that, it's like, God damn, who wrote this article? You come over Tony's head.
That's the lawsuit.
Oh,
that's
okay.
in the lawsuit.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I mean, as a Jags fan, I'm not a Jags fan, but you are. But like when I was reading this, huh?
It echoes that in my head, you know.
I know you're a Jags fan, so when I read this, I'm like, bruh, like this basically said that, like, it's kind of to you what your fears were with, you know, with Tony running the Jags or being looked at as being the one running the Jags, where it's like, I don't want people thinking that he runs the Jags.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, according to this, it's like he alienated people on the Jags. He alienated people on the Fulham soccer team. And then it got to a point where they basically said, we'll give you AEW so you don't have to mess with the actual money-making business.
Which is crazy, yeah.
But that all leads into WWE, CM Punk's current employer, and the decrease in morale. And what say you about that?
I mean, there's always going to be a long list of people in catering. You know what I'm saying? I think this will be forever an ongoing type of thing. I think the reason that it might be making news right now is because it's a decrease in morale for, you know, Triple H era, maybe. I don't see it that way, honestly. They always, because all of the issues are always the same issues. It's still the status quo of, like, we need to give women more time. We need to, you know what I'm saying? Those things are issues, but, like, how much of it, if things are staying the same, how much of it is an issue? You know what I'm saying? I think it becomes a philosophical question at that point, because, like, yeah, we can always strive for perfection, but you're always going to come short. You know what I mean?
I can understand that. I think that's a little bit of a complacent thought because I'm like, at the same time, it says that they're posting record financial results in the TKO era, but they have reduced benefits, pay increases being limited, and plus heavier workloads.
Oh, this is in the article that you brought up?
Yeah, it's in the tweet in the Notion.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So it's okay.
I'm saying that off the cuff. So okay, that's my bad.
Like, why are we making all this money if, as a company, but we get less benefits, less chances of pay increases, and then we're also working more than we've ever been?
I mean, I think the obvious answer to that would be it ain't WWE no more. It's TKO, right? It's not Vince or Triple H or, The Rock. It's the board members, you know what I'm saying? The shareholders and shit. So it's like, you're public. I mean, WWE has been public for a long time, but Vince still owned it. He still controlled everything. That ain't the case anymore. So if you're going to be out here, grinding for the company, you got to know it's not for, one man's approval anymore, like the way that it used to be. So I could see that. Maybe it's just like some rift due to that. That's what comes to my head immediately as far as like major changes, because the shareholders don't want to hear about, how tired you are.
Who's bringing in that money though? You ain't making that money if it ain't for them.
But this is why there's always been the question of wrestlers unionizing, right? But we're gonna break that up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, Zelina Vega, the second when Vince was like, "Oh, we gonna stop all that Twitch stuff," and then she was like, "Man, I really like the word union," and then he was like, all right." You know what I'm saying? So, because we know that's what needs to be done, especially at the WWE level. That has been the case this entire time, unless you're one of the top people. You know what I'm saying? Like where that you're just taken care of for the rest of your life, or not taken care of, but like you're set for the rest of your life. I mean, like the faces of the companies, like the Hulk Hogan's, the Rocks, John Cena's, the ones who actually transitioned. That's something different than like, Alba Fire or Indy Hartwell, who, comes and basically has a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's doing wrong by them. People have transitions in their job. You know what I'm saying? But like, they're the standard. And if the standard isn't being like upheld, like if morale isn't being upheld at the standard, what we see as the standard wrestling company, then that's an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I see this as similar to like in the NFL, where when we hear about these labor negotiations and things of that nature, we tend to be like, oh, but like XYZ player like Peyton Manning or Joe Burrow or Dak Prescott, they make $60 million a year, this, that, and the third. Like NFL players get paid a lot. And you really realize that's really the 1% of the NFL. And the same could be said for WWE, right? It's like when we think like, oh, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Cody, all these people that like we just name off the top of our head, like that's the 1%. Like this is not really about this is really not about them. This is everybody about
and catering. No, you don't see
not even in catering. That's mid-card below.
Well, sure.
That's Carmelo Hayes. That's Santos Escobar. That's Joaquin Phoenix and Cruz del Toro. Joaquin Wild, yeah.
Like the Joker in the roster.
Cruz del Toro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot. That's a lot of people that ain't getting that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a disappointing. It's very disappointing. And you think with like, hey, if we're the reason why we're bringing in the success, this record-breaking revenue and profits, the kickback has to eventually come back to us. We have to get a good amount of that kickback. It can't just sit up at the boards.
Yeah.
Because we was doing this before y'all. But again, there's a lot of things with WWE that if you take it outside of the TV side, that you could definitely have your issues with, both socially and politically. But let's move on to the flagship show, which ironically, coming off our first two subjects, guess who the first person on TV was for Raw? CM Punk. So they didn't have a problem shouting him out there. But let's talk about what we picked up from the flagship show Raw.
Yeah, I mean, the Cody and Seth promo I thought was pretty pretty good. Just for, I would still say, Living Raquel is the best thing that happened on the show. That's just the best promo on the show. Most, storyline needed point of emphasis of like, what the fuck are you thinking, man? From Seth, you know what I mean? Like, how is this even possible? So I really like that. I really enjoyed that. Just him
that was my
keeping it
primo
frank,
as
similar
well.
similar to like KO. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we just spent years fighting the bloodline. What the hell are you thinking? So
Yeah, that was my primo as well. The Cody and Seth promo. I think anytime Seth and Drew are very similar, and so is KO, where anytime they're in the ring and they have like a one-on-one kind of like intense conversation, they seem to get the best out of the other person that they're kind of talking to, because there's a lot of validity to what they're saying and then what is also being said back to them. And I think in that conversation between Seth and Cody, I think, there's a lot of truth on both sides. Seth made his points about Cody and talking about like, why do we do all this, that, and the third, just for this to happen? And then Cody talks about, yo, you were a corporate champion and look how that turned out for you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where it leads up to. I mean, obviously this is just promo for Elimination Chamber, but Seth is my guy. I push for him all the time to be put into that spot. We'll see by the predictions. And so when we get to the predictions, if I have that confidence that he's gonna pull it out. But no, I mean, this is how you bring engaging storylines. And I think, Seth is one of the best on the mic. And when you give someone of Seth or Drew's caliber an opportunity to kind of cut these scathing promos, it's kind of hard not to put it in primo. So that's my primo for the show.
Yeah. Primo match for me is Liv and Raquel becoming 3-time women's champions, which is tying the record, I'm pretty sure.
I think they said
individual tag team. Or they said it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because if anything, so many of these teams are like Franken teams, as we said, is the issue. Because prior to that, I would think the best run prior to this Bianca and Naomi / Jade run was probably Naomi and Sasha before they left the first time, was the best run that we had with the title. So I was it's funny because I need to be more engaged when I'm thinking about the timeline of things, because in the moment, I'm just watching Raw. I don't think of like that Elimination Chamber, that this is the go home show. So with them being in the main event and like 20 minutes, they got like at least 20 minutes for this whole match. I would say I was shocked in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Not that it's not well deserved, because it is. But yeah, then I love the fact that Michael Cole did like, oh yeah, they're 3-time. It's like, okay, well, this is, Edge and Christian, effectively, of women's division, where it's like, you can play hot potato with it and they're always legitimate. You know what I mean? So it's like they've been on the back burner because Raquel has been out injured, but it's like, okay, we can use that momentum of Liv's world heavyweight title win and Judgment Day. And now you got the tag team titles. It's going to get a shot of adrenaline to, Judgment Day, or like carry them a bit. I think we're keeping. I'm not saying like we got to keep the group going forever, but like at least as far as like for the rest of the WrestleMania season, clearly, obviously, like they're I want to say leaders, but they're the most successful. Inside Judgment Day for sure. So I'll be excited to see what that next clubhouse meeting looks like. You know what I'm saying, with Dom and Carlito and everybody being happy for them, or you would think so. Maybe they're not so happy. Maybe Finn not so happy, but.
Yeah, I had my difficulties where on one side, I can understand. I have no problem with anybody putting this match as a primo. The match itself was good. It was entertaining. And obviously the outcome was surprising. I didn't expect Bianca and Naomi to end up losing their titles. I don't want to drag it down because of the outcome. But part of me is dragging it down because of the outcome. I'm just Liv and Raquel. They're great. They're talented. They're obviously deserving of having the titles. And the manner of which they won the titles is still annoying.
Yeah, because that was the yes. I think we should point out. Sorry, not to cut you off, but just quick point that I know for a fact you saw the way you lose this match. Freaking Naomi in the turnbuckle, just slamming her head on top of the post. You know,
The
the ring
Dom
post behind
interference and all that. It's just like,
the
okay,
Dom
we
interference
get
is.
it.
I think I wasn't even bothered by Dom interference because that's standard. You know what I'm saying? That's like bloodline.
But
Like
the
they're
fact
done
that it's standard, it's like, come on now.
Sure. But I was more so shocked by anything, just the fact that she just fell over from being hit in that face with the turn, or not the turnbuckle, but like I said, the ring post.
Yeah.
And that was like, Trick Williams getting hit with first 48 and getting pinned by Eddie Thorpe. I was like, what? That's not a finisher like at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's also why it was it's funny because I don't like the mechanic of it, but I like the shock of it because nobody would have that as a finishing not maneuver, but a way to end a match. I mean,
yeah. I mean, again, so for me, I gotta keep it at mid rising because I'm just not looking forward to this run.
It's funny that you say
this
that
is no different than Judgment Day always having the men's tag team titles all the goddamn time. It's just like Judgment Day, I guess, just doesn't feel like a legitimate faction if they don't have a title on them. Is that where we're at right now? Like, so that's where it kind of bothers me. If they had won this clean, fine. This is a primo match. But the fact that it just feels that, again, Bianca and Naomi are way too strong and connected of a tag team to imagine that. Again, Liv and Raquel literally just got in their business 2 weeks ago, and that's unofficially because we don't even know if they actually attacked Jade.
Yeah.
So it seems a little bit rushed. It seems like Judgment Day is kind of running on fumes to me, and the way that we make Judgment Day feel like they're a threat is, hey, let's just put some tag team titles on them and have them hawk it. But Triple H, we just had tag team titles on the men's champs and blah blah. Well, we didn't do it for the women, so let's just redo that same storyline again. And it's just gonna be like, okay, like we'll have these two people be annoying, come out. It's like, again, even their annoying shtick is not even that good anymore, and that's fine. I'm a fan of Liv, but man, it just doesn't work for me as far as. It's become a little too stale for me, where I'm like, okay, I see how this is going, and I get it. We need to get Bianca into her singles mode.
Yeah.
So we need to take her off the title, but I don't know. I'm on a wait and see. That's why I'll have this at mid rising.
Okay. Well,
it was surprising to see them actually lose that match.
That's why I think it's a primo, just because I agree 100% with everything that you just said. It's going downhill from here. So This is the apex. I'm gonna make it a primo because I was shocked. Like I said, for the shocking ending of it, it's like, what the fuck? You beat Naomi and Bianca like that? That's a primo. And for you to just to combine the fact that you're a sinister heel, whatever, sure. Because I don't think it's gonna be very exciting. But when you talk about legitimizing the tag team titles or being legitimate threats, just by the two factors that they are 3-time women's champions and part of Judgment Day, and you're going to have constant interference, we know that they're going to be a son of a bitch to take down just due to the nature of women's division. And they don't be, really investing that much time in the women's tag team division. Because who the fuck else are you going to give it to on Raw? You know what I mean? Who else is actually challenging Bianca and Naomi for these titles and winning after all of this time? After we done ran through. I was literally about to bring them up, but we ran through them twice already. They beat them twice. So it's like, you can't, because I would have.
They can still take out Liv and Raquel.
They can, because they got a powerhouse and they got a, agile one. But yeah, I think it was Meta Girls was the right choice. But if anything, I don't know. Too long on that.
I don't blame anybody to have it on primo. For me, I was just like, I just couldn't do it. It's standing right there on the border. It's standing right there on the border, but I couldn't do it. So that's where I'm at with it. Let's get into our mids. One that we do agree upon: Lyra beating Oh well, we'll knock both of these out of the way because we already talked about our other, the other mid. Um, two mids that we agreed upon: Ludwig getting the win over Penta and Pete Dunne, and Lyra retaining her North American title against Dakota Kai, and then Ivy now coming out after the match and then attacking both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yo, Ivy looked like a pit bull. Like
that's her nickname.
I know, like he be saying, Cole. Man, that was, I guess I shouldn't say surprising because I mean these title reigns are new. You know what I mean? I did want Dakota to win. At least we know that she can talk. She was spent her, basically the last 2 years as mouthpiece of, damage control, if not, 2 years time. But so that did surprise me, or not surprise me, but what did surprise me is Ivy it's coming out and attacking her because it's like, okay, this is an actual like storyline, like plot point that we see Ivy Nile doing something outside of just standing with the Creed brothers backstage. You know what I'm saying? So at least she's like taking her fate into her own hands. You know what I'm saying? She's doing something. So and really,
they initially teased this back at like the Royal Rumble. They had like a little run in at the Royal Rumble. So I'm glad that they're building upon this.
And it's really, I mean, clearly it's just the time of like, all right, we got something for you now. You know what I'm saying? All right, now it's her time. So I'll be looking forward to it. I really, because once again, when it comes to like the divisions, we talk about like the believability of like, standing in front of somebody. But the mid-card women's titles, they're all small women, for the most part. So that's where I'm thinking, like, I really have Ivy as a heavyweight in this. Like, she's going to be working big in this rivalry, I would think. So that's an interesting dynamic for me to watch this. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to seeing Ivy get some more opportunity to be in the ring and actually wrestle. And like you said, not just being a valet, for lack of better terms. This all is predicate on allowing them to talk. Give me a reason to care. That goes to Ivy, that goes to Lyra, and that goes to Dakota. Because even the match itself is a good match. Both Dakota and Lyra can wrestle. They haven't said anything to each other. In months. Like it's wild. So that's my thing. It's like, and again, if that's the case, if you're not going to talk, then there's no reason for me to believe Lyra is ever going to be in a position to lose.
Because
again, this is more of this feels more of just like we need to make people believe that Lyra is good. Not saying that she's not good. It's more of the creative team trying to tell you, hey, you need to believe that this person is good. You need to believe in this person as champion. Well, let the wrestler tell me that through their words and their actions rather than you just telling me like, hey, whoever she's going to go against, you got to treat her like she's Bianca Belair. Because I don't see Lyra as a Bianca Belair.
No.
You have to let them talk. You have to make me believe. What is the reason you are here? And so I doubt that that's going to happen just by the nature of way that WWE has been moving, especially when you got The Rock coming in during WrestleMania season, able to take up 15, 20 minutes of TV time whenever he feels like it. I don't know if they're ever going to get a chance to talk. So while the matches might be entertaining, the overall aspect of, just having something engaging on a weekly basis, I think is going to be sorely lacking.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
and the same thing kind of with like Ludwig, Penta, and Pete Dunne. There's a little bit more dialogue, but not a lot. I'm actually surprised that Ludwig got the win, but again, there's times where sometimes wrestlers are too overprotected. When is Penta going to take a pin?
He's not overprotected, It's been a month.
I'm not saying specifically him, but I'm saying like it's the nature of how we try to get certain people over. Is like you can't take a loss, you can't take a pin, and it's like, why not? Why not? Can we have somebody go through adversity, or does everything have to be peaches and roses? And then the one time they hit a fucking speed bump, it's like, oh, now I got to go through this whole emotional fucking roller coaster just to get back on track. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I think there's a difference.
That's where I'm like, what is
Pete
Pete Dunne gonna do? Just be a fucking body bag for everybody else? Because we got to push Ludwig, but we don't want to hurt Penta.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the nature of like the business. I think at a certain point, like, yeah, we care about Pete Dunne, but there's a certain point where like you're gonna have, when you look at that match and you see Ludwig, Penta, and Pete Dunne, I would say, looking at that, I know who's whose shoulders are going to be on the ground at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? You do want a level of, I guess, surprise and all that stuff, or randomness. But it's like when you take the time to build, just specifically in this trilogy we're talking, I said trilogy, triple threat we're talking about. You did just spend all of the time giving us vignettes for Penta and telling us he's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? We gave him, Raw on Netflix. We want him to, like, we know he slotted IC. Like, he was standing face to face with Braun Breaker at a certain point, like 2 weeks ago or whatever. And just to go back to your first point, Pete Dunne is the one who doesn't talk the most out of those three. You know what I'm saying?
They were giving him a chance to talk, and then they just shut him up.
Hey, well, there's a, I don't know if it's about I don't know. I can see why you're saying that, but you can also, there's levels of connecting with the crowd, because some people just ain't going to sell the same amount of merch or move the same amount of product as other people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the business decision that you have to make. And that's what you would hope, because that, it makes it become a meritocracy where it's like whoever's best is just best. But it's like you would hope that they're not, that there is still internal biases, obviously. But it's just a hard needle to thread, I suppose. But you can't give us 2 months of vignettes and be like, this guy Ludwig, who's basically half of the time on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not even the most biggest deal, but we all see the potential in him. He's like a Montez Ford himself, where we're like, yo, he needs to get a chance. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to like move all of these things forward at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
I
get it. I just think there's ways, like, it's nothing wrong with Penta taking a pin. And again, the pin don't need to be the cleanest pin in the fucking world. He could have got low blowed. He could have got, something could have happened to protect him and get pinned. But I'm just saying,
put his foot on the rope and the ref misses it. It's
something.
Like, yo, exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, sometimes it feels that we try to do a lot to force people to believe that we should like them, or believe that they're good. Not saying they're not good, but there's too much of the lifting is being put onto what we should be feeling like, rather than I feel this way. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think it does, because that what you're talking about is the process of getting over. Like, how long does it take for a character to get over with the crowd?
It's the same thing. I have the same issues with Braun Breaker. Like, do I like Braun Breaker? There's certain aspects of things I've liked Braun Breaker. At the same time, I feel like there's more of I'm being told I should like Braun Breaker rather than me organically liking him or believing in him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying,
and that's where I feel like I miss out a lot in some of these characters.
Because I mean, we've had this conversation multiple times that you can have a title do the lifting for you. You know what I'm saying? That's what is happening with Lyra. You know what I'm saying? I would say Braun Breaker is probably like an even. Like, he's right on par with the Intercontinental Championship, where it feels appropriate. It doesn't feel like, to me, it doesn't feel like he's not believable or not over with the crowd, in the sense of like, all right, I need more from him. Like, yeah, you do want more, you know what I'm saying? But like, the product that I have right now, I'm not saying is good enough. And everybody wants to improve. So it's like, you got room for that. But, not everybody's going to be CM Punk or, Cody crying on the mic, every single time, being emotional and shit. So.
Let's get to your shake.
Yeah, my shake. I got this Gunther bullying Akira Tozawa. God damn it, Max. That's the only. God damn it. I mean, that went about as good as well as you thought it was going to go. He got power bombed into oblivion. And Logan Paul
Tozawa should have
CM
got
Punk.
the win.
That would have been crazy. Yeah, that would have been Daniel Bryan, or not Daniel Bryan, like I said, Santino Marella winning the Elimination Chamber or something. That would have been that level, like crazy as shit. Like
even if Jay Uso's music hit and then that just caught Gunther off guard, and then Tozawa won by the most devastating move in all professional wrestling, the surprise roll up. I don't care. Yeah. Like Tozawa should have got that.
World yeah. Well, he wouldn't be world heavyweight champ, but he should be in line for a title shot.
Yeah.
Like, that actually will be Akira Tozawa versus Gunther at Elimination Chamber.
Can you imagine for like a whole like, you know, up until WrestleMania, Tozawa has like every time he runs into Gunther, he's like, I beat you.
Yeah, right. That would
make Gunther's head explode.
Yeah, that's more shaking your confidence than Cody beating you, obviously, because Cody's the WWE champion. So, yeah, ridiculous. And just Logan Paul sneaking CM Punk. Just the fact that it was a slap, you know, first thing of the week. That it was less like, you know, building. That's why it's shake, because this is also prior to like our segment on SmackDown that we're going to get to later. But it was just the first of those. I'm going to win the Elimination Chamber. That good stuff that you always get. So,
yeah. Yeah. Logan Paul. That's a thing. Anything else for the bodega from the flagship before we move next door to the bodega?
Bodega, I am ready.
NXT. This is a pretty decent show. You had the highest thing on the card here. I had it as my mid. So let's agree to disagree. Primo for you was Jordan Grace punching Roxanne in the mouth. But you say go to SmackDown already. I'm assuming that's to Roxanne, and I have that as a mid.
I don't care about the promo. I don't care about the promo at all. Like, to me, this was basically nothing. Like, when I put the Primo of Jordan Grace punching her in the face, that is the Primo. Like, we know who Jordan Grace is already. We've heard the siren multiple times. Like, the NXT crowd knows. She doesn't have to go out there and talk. We get it that we're just stretching the time of her contendership and shit. You're just got to establish her. But I don't need Roxanne coming out here anymore. I really don't. Like, I get it. We got it till Mania? Sure. I do not want to see Trick and Roxanne past Mania. Do not be here anymore. Like, don't. Because you remember, they were champions of the week because I said graduation tears. Y'all were supposed to leave back at y'all last, takeover. Yeah, 2 months ago. I wrote y'all off storyline in my head. Like, all right, bye. And then y'all still here. Like, nigga, it's not cute when you graduated and you're still hanging around high school kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be up to bigger and better things. Like, when my brother was like, we were at VCU, this is sophomore year. And, you're not uppity, but it's just like, yo, I'm at college parties now and stuff. I come back home, he like, man, yo, let's go to this girl's graduation party. I'm like, oh, okay, what's she major in? It was like, no, it's her high school graduation. My brother's older than me. Why are you? Nah, bro, I'm good. I don't need that. And that's neither here nor there. Just carry your asses. I really don't. Like,
I understand
Trick,
that.
Especially Trick, you got to get the fuck out of
here. Trick is more of a thing than I feel like Roxanne. I think because there's a good pool of new talent coming in. I think within this couple, like within now until Stand and Deliver, which is WrestleMania weekend, you could just do a little, little sprinkling of teases. Maybe not now in the near future, but in the long-term future, it's like, hey, Roxanne and Jordan Grace, they fought. Roxanne, Julia, they fought. Roxanne, Stephanie Vaquera, and all these other things. It's like, by the time the rest of those crew get up to the main roster, there's already history and legacy built in. At least, like, there's at least an initial, like, roots of storylines that's to start off with. I mean, for me, especially with Roadblock coming up in a few weeks, and that being at, Madison Square Garden, Roxanne Jordan Grace is not a bad match to have.
Yeah.
So if this is the start to kind of get us to that, date, like I'm like, all right, like I'll be curious to see how that storyline plays out. And again, I'm treating it as this is the chapter 1 of the Jordan Grace Roxanne Perez rivalry. And so same thing with like some of the other things. I think that's what Roxanne is doing right now, is she's just kind of like, I'm not gonna be here for long, but y'all gonna see me again. And when y'all see me again, y'all gonna have to keep coming for this crown, because I'm the best.
If anything, that would be the second match, because Jordan Grace challenged her for the NXT title. So Roxanne has already 1-0 on her. So this will be, if we're taking these like back to back, and we're just gonna say WrestleMania weekend, right? You got Roadblock and then Stand and Deliver. So then you'll have your rubber match at Stand and Deliver where Jordan Grace goes over. But either way, listen, I'm done with both of them on NXT at least. Like I told you, I wanted Trick. It did upset me seeing Carmelo and The Miz tag teaming together, because I was like, damn, that actually works for their characters. Because I really wanted Trick to just pop up in Carmelo's barbershop. You know what I'm saying? His little barbershop shit. Like have him dap up and be like, oh my, my nigga here, I got reinforcements, whatever. That's an easy transition. That's how he started in NXT. You know what I'm saying? So
there's still time to bring that back. You never know. You never know.
But that's enough. The Mids. We agree on Hardy Boys over No Quarter Catch Crew.
Yep. And we also agree on Ricky Saints and Javon Evans beating Wesley and Ethan Page.
Yeah. Yep. The Hardy Boys are just nostalgia. Just straight nostalgia to my veins. So this doesn't I was gonna say surprise me. Of course they were gonna win this match, but like,
yeah,
I'm trying to do the math. Who's Fraxium's challenging them? That was established in this episode. So
yeah, and that's gonna be for the TNA Tag Team Championships.
I'm like, if you gotta put a L on Fraxium's column, that's the way you do it. You know what I'm saying? Unless we actually are gonna start this relationship, because there's no doubt that right now the Hardys are 50. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like you got many Seth Rollins and many fucking Penta in NXT who have been, tag team champions for, it feels like a year. Maybe not a whole year, but they're going on it. Yeah. So this is just to, say Fraxium, they're not completely infallible. You know what I'm saying? They can lose something. They're not just bulk collectors out here, but yeah. Right now, if we was going to do the predictions, I would say, it would be sick to have them. And I think that would also be the most inspired choice, just because it's like, we know that it's pretty, not even beyond like a favor. But if you're talking about like, we're talking about booking like Obafemi and Moose, against each other, let alone like Joe Hendry. But like the champion versus champion thing, like your top heavyweight champion, that's not happening. But when it comes to like a tag team, you're like, that's way more believable. You know what I'm saying? As a deep cut fan, where you're like, oh yeah, like the business aspirations, like Hardy Boys used to be WWE. Maybe they come over for like, 4 months, whatever. So very intriguing.
Apparently I think WWE just dropped new Hardy Boys gear on their WWE shop.
Yeah.
And the Hardys are the most interesting thing about this TNA partnership so far, because it's like those are the most WWE guys ever. That I'm like, okay, yeah, they're challenging for the TNA titles. We can assume that the Hardys might retain, right? Probably retain.
Yeah.
If it's the NXT championships, tag team championships, I'm not putting the Hardys path to winning. The Hardys can definitely win that.
Yeah, it's just how much stock do you put in the fact that it's a TNA show versus an NXT show, or the NXT title on the line versus the TNA title on the line, because these TNA tag team titles are being defended at Sacrifice, a TNA show. So it's like,
that's not at Roadblock. I thought that was at Roadblock.
Is that Roadblock? Because Santino,
I believe that's Roadblock.
Okay,
I'll double check that, but
because
continue to make your point.
Yeah, Ava. Well, it makes sense, at least in the kayfabe world. Like, we understand, even in the kayfabe world, that Ava cannot come out here and make a match for the TNA,
Santino said
championships.
he talked to Ava.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but I'm saying, but he's the director of Authority, so like, he controls those titles. You can't do that. So that's where I enjoy the fact that
It's that
we got
roadblock.
it is that roadblock. Okay, so I think that's a safe defense. However, we have we're going to continue having this conversation that it is also most believable because the Hardys are 12-time tag team champions in WWE. So if they were to drop the belts, it's like, well, these are actually WWE guys in your head, historically. I think there's a conversation about that right now. I think they've hit like this ride right now of TNA because this is their second run. Like Broken Universe, Jeff is like the TNA World Champion. You got Matt Hardy is a multiple-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. They're basically on par. I think the nostalgia might be. I don't know how long that was for. They were there. That run was like what? He was like 7 years, maybe 7, 8. So yeah. I don't know. I think we chewed on that too much, honestly. I think it's just
that should be a fun match.
It's just the point that this is the most unpredictable because of the history of the Hardys and the way that this match is being set up. So
yeah. Let's get to the other mid that we agreed upon. I guess we could talk about this quickly because I don't think the outcome was in any doubt. But Ricky Saints makes his NXT debut and gets the dub, and he looked good in it, especially for people that probably haven't seen Ricky Starks or watched Ricky Saints, I should say. He looked good. He had some nice moments in there where he was in some kind of multiple kind of moves at at different times. He had the springboard DDT, kind of had the what's that, Dominator, the reverse Dominator, inverse Dominator.
It's called the Rochambeau. That's what Rochambeau. Yeah.
That was really dope. But again, the outcome was never in doubt. Ricky Saints' music is not 2 Chainz. It is something completely different.
I told you, I knew it wasn't going to be 2 Chainz. I was like,
they played it when he was coming out and when he was leaving. I just assumed, but I'm like, does WWE want to pay you that much money to have Ricky Saints come out on some 2 Chainz?
He'll get some kind of New Orleans. Maybe not artist, but he'll get a New Orleans vibe. There's a little bit of a New Orleans vibe. It's not. It's a little generic. It's my problems not problems, but my open concerns that I had as far as like when he does win the big championship is like, and your new WWE Undisputed Champion or World Heavyweight Champion Ricky Saints, does that give you that like believability aspect of it? Well, yeah,
I don't know. I don't know quite yet.
We get there.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be some tweaks to his music and things of that nature. But at this point, right now, I'm like, looking a little mid-cardish.
Oh yeah, it's generic for sure. But like, once again, I think for him to just like walk in the door and do a contract signing segment, that's literally his first thing that he does because we know who he is. We care about him already. He'll get some tweaks for sure. It's not like they've handcuffed people to their music before. And even still, a character change can just like once you get that well-defined character change, you can always use a different part of your music. Like going from Big Dog to Tribal Chief, or even the returning Tribal Chief right now. He's just using different segments of the same music. So, but yeah, it's up for here. Like I said, by the time we're in Stand and Deliver New Orleans, which is next year, because we know that WrestleMania is going to be in New Orleans next year. Yeah, NXT champ. I can believe that for sure. I think we will be cheering Ricky Saints.
Okay.
Or that stadium damn sure will be, for a fact.
Oh yeah, for
sure.
That's
gonna be.
I want to see if the package all kind of comes together, and like when it happens, I want to like, yeah, that looks believable to me. That's all. I'm like, do I have to suspend my disbelief, or do I honestly can just watch and be like, yeah, that like when Obafemi wins that championship, yup, that looks like the champion. You know what I'm saying? So that's it's a wait and see approach. I'm not making any kind of hardcore hard set bets here. So it's just more of a more curious, but again, none too shocking here. It was a good match, and Ricky impressed. He got some Tony fumble chants during the match as well.
Champion of the week.
Okay.
So,
Sorry for the spoiler.
that's all right.
Let's get to your other mid before we get to the Reggie
Mid and Reggie. Yeah, Mid and Reggie are the same thing. The match for Moose over Alexis King, great. Mid stable, just for the establishing Moose in ring and NXT. If you haven't seen him, here you go. And and do you know what his spear is called?
No.
No jackhammer required.
Okay.
I just think that's dope. And I really appreciate it. It felt like, as I was watching this, Lexis King was giving everything that similar to like how when Penta debuted and you had Chad Gable there, and it was like, yo, that was just fucking perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It felt like a TNA match to me as I was watching it, or like his pacing, because Moose is like a slightly, I want to say, like veterans have that mentality. Like if you listen to like wrestlers, they always say like, take it slow. Like however fast you think you're going, go even slower than that. You know what I'm saying? But like Lexis King felt like he was keeping up with like Moose's snail pace, or it felt like that to me in a working sense. You know what I'm saying? Not that the match is boring or anything, but that was good. But the Reggie that I got is me being confused again for the Oba Femi and Moose booking, because I know for a fact Oba fumbled this delivery, because we said last week that this is title for title, right? And which I'm like, that doesn't make really sense, but even still I would have Oba winning that, right? And then he says for the NXT championship, right?
He said Titan for Titan. Titan versus Titan.
Okay. If he said, all right, sure. But how many times have you heard that we hear title versus title? Like that's a thing in wrestling. So, all right, maybe that was just me mishearing, but I swore for the second week in a row. I'm like, what are we doing here? Because I told you I wanted just a non-title
sure he
match.
said Titan for Titan, which again, when you have another match later in the night or earlier in the night where with Stephanie Vaquer and Julia talking about they're going to go title for title, it makes you think that the same thing is happening. But no, I'm looking at right now on the wiki. It says singles match for the NXT championship.
All right, yo, just okay, not to be, this is Trump's nation now, but I need just the ever so more tad bit of American accent on that Oba, because I was like, I could have sworn I ran that back twice, and I'm like, bro, what are we doing? Who's losing this? But anyway, the last thing I had was just a shake. Stephanie Vaquer, like you said, and you already took the punchline of it, that Stephanie Vaquer retains, but we're set up for a title match.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Julia.
cool, but I'm just like, okay, a DQ match, cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That match is ending in a DQ. That's not ending in. Stephanie just got the belt. Yeah, she just got the belt. Carmen Petrovic was her first title defense. Like this was gonna end in a no DQ. Someone that we don't know was probably gonna interfere and cause this match to end. I'm just okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, a lot of forcing you to believe what you think you should be believing in, rather than just this should not be their first match. A title with a title?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Like this.
We're gonna see who's the best when we just got here. I mean, I guess their view is like, if you gotta.
Even the fact that even that Stephanie is saying that she's the best champion is just like, girl, you just got it 2 weeks ago. You ain't. You just had your first title defense tonight. Like, how can you say that?
Yeah, you got marks like me who's been saying, hey, she's top 5 in technical wrestling. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
top 5 in technical wrestling is different than being a top champion in the WWE.
Hey, I'm just saying, you have to have debates. This is why you have time blocks and like first take. You know what I'm saying? A block, B block. Because some things are more believable than others, but that at least is a conversation when you talk about the new generation the international generation of NXT women's division.
Yeah.
But I'm done here.
You got
anything else?
Nope. You could take us to the coffee shop of AEW Dynamite.
Takeshita is a god. Best wrestling on the whole fucking thing. Like, the sequence of Takeshita catching Orange Cassidy, trying to what was it? Trying to hit a raging fire, and then Cassidy doing the usual like, oh nope, I'm countering you into a stun dog millionaire, which is nope. He catches him in the air and then pulls him up into a Blue Thunder bomb pin attempt. I'm like, Jesus, the shit that you're only doing in your 20s. This was almost the champion of the week, like because I'm like, the second that he hit the age 30, you're not doing that. I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when it just comes to like, bro, he's fucking sick. Raging Fire that's probably his most emphatic Raging Fire he's hit on anybody. But once again, Orange Cassidy has like, you got 50 pounds on Orange Cassidy. You know, it's that whole unlocking your move set thing. But Orange Cassidy has the longest fucking title defense in international championship history. So I was believing it, honestly, for anybody to just not off the cuff win a title. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Orange Cassidy in the international championship. But great stuff.
Yeah, this is also a primo for me as well. This is both of our primos that we agreed upon. This is easily the best wrestling match of the week. This was impressive. Yeah. Even if you just watch the highlights, it was super impressive. Again, Orange Cassidy, man, like dude is again one of the main reasons why I enjoy AEW. It's like Orange Cassidy, Ricochet, in Swerve storyline is doing well, and pretty much that's it for me. Like, you know, like there's not much else that keeps me entertained on AEW.
Tony Storm.
Tony Storm, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But yeah, there's no issues about being complained about this. I'm curious to see what comes out of this. I think Takeshita faces who at Revolution?
Oh, yeah, I'll bring up that card.
I feel like exactly this had some implications on that match, but either way, yeah, there's nothing you could talk about negative about this match. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that even wanted to put this as their top shelf.
Kenny
Omega.
Kenny Omega. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, great match all around. No complaints from me. This is AEW's bread and butter, and they did it to one of their best. So shout outs to both Takeshita and Orange Cassidy.
Like a pay-per-view level single or either singles or multi-man match every Dynamite. Because
I like the whole bit of like the glasses. I thought again, there's some hokiness with AEW with some of their stuff where like, you know, Takeshita's like biting Orange Cassidy's glasses and stuff like that and breaking them and whatnot. But I do like how Orange Cassidy just pulled out another pair of shades and then that got taken and he gave it to Don Callis and then there's some really good even sports entertainment aspect of it, not just the pure wrestling aspect of it. So
yes, I mean
all around
AEW is the king of the indies. Yeah, like that hokiness, like they wouldn't go as far as Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan, but it's stuff like that where it's like you can't bother Orange Cassidy. You remember I made it a top shelf when John Moxley took over the Death Riders, and I was like, yo, he made Orange Cassidy serious. Like he's actually, this is not a joke to him. Like this is crazy. So if anybody's like not one note, like you were talking about, like this is it, because outside of a defined character, it does have kind of that issue where you like revert to like intensity of like 80s like stereotypical wrestler, like when I'm brought up like Macho Man and stuff. People always gotta be yelling or like, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you, or screaming in each other's face, you know. Your other primo, go ahead, lead the way.
Yeah, Ricochet and Swerve, number one contenders match to be determined for the AEW title. I believe that's at Revolution next week. I believe that's either that's at Revolution or Dynamite. I need to double check that, but
that's at Revolution.
It's at Revolution. I put this primarily at Primo because of the Nana aspect of it. I think Nana is doing some great mic work. And even just the robe aspect being that much important, especially with the historical context of the meaning of the robe, especially as it means to Nana. I don't know how this match ends up being a number one contenders match. That's more of an open question for myself. I'm not making it as a complaint. That's just I'm like, this just seemed out of the realm. Like this seemed like a personal issue. Then all of a sudden it's like whoever wins this match gets a number one contenders match for the AEW title. I'm like, bro, y'all ain't even in the world of Jon Moxley and the Death Riders.
Yeah, right.
So I don't understand.
Like, run into each other. Yeah,
I don't understand how this conflict brings relevance to
kayfabe.
Yeah, but that's a me thing and not a show thing. So, I again, it goes back to what Nana actually said to Swerve. He was like, "Bruh, if you don't get the robe back, I don't know if we could do this anymore, or we're gonna have to find something different." I'm like, this is what I wish AEW did more. I think again, this is probably their best storyline that they've had in a long time. So, just for that. And the intrigue of not even the number one contendership match is more so like, is this dude gonna get the robe back? And if he don't, what is gonna happen with Swerve and Nana?
Yeah, because you're like, yo, you cannot break up Swerve and Nana. That's crazy. Yeah. You'd be like, if Ricochet
what kind of ego trip is that gonna give Ricochet if he does end up retaining?
Yeah, exactly. And he walks in with that robe again. Shit. The fuck you mean?
Yeah, so that's where like the fact that the robe takes more, it's like the same thing with the bloodline, right? Whereas like when it was bloodline blood stuff, it's like the title don't matter. It's about who wears the Ulufala. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that we can kind of supersede these certain things, it's like, okay, now you got a good story.
Yeah.
So again, one of their better storylines. And then Ricochet, he's still corny. I don't think he's ever going to be like, people are like, oh, Ricochet should get the world title. No, no, it's good. It's probably his best work that he's done in 10 years. He ain't world title. Sure. He ain't world title it yet. He ain't a world title contender in my opinion. I think he's entertaining. He's very much Ethan Page.
He's not a world title contender, but he is a contender to like take out Swerve for a while, which is way more believable. That's why we're having this conversation, because I believe that he could have a match with Moxley right now and then immediately get paradigm shifted into the center of the earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But really that ripple effect is going to be, like you said, the ego trip that he's on and what we're looking at Swerve being in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that fall from grace after losing to Bryan Danielson, we've been saying how like he's been basically indestructible. Like he's been putting people over since he lost to like, Bryan Danielson and shit like that, and been putting on great stuff. That's like, that'll be a character defining moment for sure, where I think it'd be like, I got to get my head right type of shit, which that's what we're in the middle of right now. So it's like, if he doesn't get this right, he's clearly going to spiral, or I think that's where we're headed to.
Yeah. That's the match I'm kind of looking more excited to, just for like, what are the outcomes and the repercussions of this? Though on the other side, if Swerve ends up winning this, like, does that just kind of reset the whole thing? Like, no, okay, we're good.
Nah, I would say Swerve wins. He's obviously going to lose the title. He's not beating John either. Neither one of them is beating John, but he's the more believable contender. And they're back in lockstep. Like Nana and him are in lockstep, competing for titles, focused. And done with Ricochet. That's just him being done with this chapter of Ricochet. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Because truly, I would be Hangman is number one. And I'm really enjoying the Hangman storyline. They're the two main characters. Like Wrestle Talk jokes about Hangman's the main character, but it's also Swerve. They made each other, 2 years ago. And if I could segue right here, like I said, did not appreciate the MJF and Jeff Jarrett stuff. That was just clearly for, a pay-per-view cycle, but this is like the shit that you want to get at. And during this time, Hangman, ended up not paralyzing, but almost paralyzed Christopher Daniels, which is, his trainer, his mentor, all that stuff. And when Christopher Daniels came out there and told him how he was retired, you've officially retired me, Hangman. Congratulations, you won. You see the crack into the scowl that he's had ever since him and Swerve have come to blows, right? And we're getting this slow burn, like, face turn with Hangman, which I think is, it's working for me. I personally, I want to keep him would like to keep him tweener. I feel like it just works so well for both him and Swerve. I think they're just You want to talk about pillars of the company. Like, seriously, those are two of them right there, as far as making this shit actually, stomachable. You know what I'm saying? Watch it and being entertaining on the majority of your timeline for the year. But we get the reveal that MJF, attacked and bloodied Christopher Daniels backstage, at which, of course, MJF, or not MJF, Hangman
There's a
freaks
quick
out
shot
about.
of Christopher Daniels punching himself. I don't know if you saw that.
This also champion of the week.
Okay, sorry.
It's funny.
I didn't look, so I'm just guessing.
No. It's not that one, but it's part of this segment. It's not that exactly, but that's where. Okay, but I really like this. It's mid-stable just because, once again, these are just the guys that you actually want to see wrestling and building each other up. You know what I'm saying? This is an actual rivalry I want to see. So just for another chapter in it before Revolution, I'm good with that. And right now, I think I would have MJF winning that. I think I would have MJF beating Hangman right now, but we're not doing predictions, so don't hold me to it.
I mean, if MJF beats Hangman, and then that gets you MJF maybe versus Swerve.
So we haven't had MJF Swerve yet.
And they teased that before MJF kind of had his long kind of hiatus. And then obviously there's a lot of history between Swerve and Hangman that maybe he works himself into a triple threat.
Yeah, it's funny because Swerve was originally, I think when this rivalry first started, I want to say Swerve was the heel with Hangman. And so far in this like short cycle of faces and turns and stuff like that, right now we're clearly going Hangman face and Swerve heel. That's why I think Swerve is going to be losing next week, personally, because of that spiral that I mentioned before. So you can always pick that up again, and we'll be right back where we're at. And the title, I don't know. There's a hang up on a title, but the title should be in that conversation. You know what I'm saying? So that's your best stuff.
Should be fun.
The shake that I got, Deonna Purrazzo felt Harley Cameron's wrath. She gets another win. And Willow giving a concerto to Marina Shafir in the segment, which I'm like, yo, not so friendly. Not so friendly. You know what I'm saying? It's so funny when I see like, when I hear, Willow's music, and she's just like stomping down to the ring, like all mad. Concerto, I'm like, shit, I'll take it.
You're too nice to be doing this. What are you doing?
And once again, I think it's ridiculous because it's like Edge or Cope, dog, this is your thing. Yeah, this is why protecting women in the sense of kayfabe is ridiculous to me. Because like, oh, we need a woman to come down here and swing a chair to somebody else. That's still brain damage. It doesn't matter who does it. Like,
I mean, what's his face? He hit Marina Shafir with a move.
Blade Runner. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what should be happening. That's what I'm saying. Because you put yourself in the proximity of men, you're fucking yourself up. But I don't need to do this favor to protect you. You know what I'm saying? If I'm Cope, I don't need to wait for Willow to just decide to come down.
Yeah, it's not like we've seen Edge not fucking concerto women.
Yeah, that's all.
Or do other things in his career. It's like, oh no, I have a conscience now.
Yeah, it's like, nah, dog, just hit this bitch. Like, it's funny because I was watching. You seen Paradise on Hulu at all?
No, I haven't. My neighbor was telling me about it. I've heard it's actually a pretty good show.
It is good, and it's funny because like overnight, it's just three of us in the office, man. All of a sudden, my coworkers, they just hear me. I'm like, man, shoot this bitch. I was like, hell nah. Shoot this bitch in the forehead, dog. Like, listen, we're talking about TV shows, not anybody real, but come on. It's kind of the same thing where I'm like, yo, you put yourself out here, nah, fuck that. But that's it for Dynamite for me.
That's it for me as well. Let's take a quick break and get our pinky cups, our reading glasses out for the Book of Wrestling. It's Thursday in our calendar.
Yeah.
Well, we had one in 1997. I'm not sure what any of these things are, so I'll start with. Let's say I'll take the oldest one here on the book. February 26th, 1997, WWE's first European champion. For the first time, WWF Monday Night Raw was taped in Europe. At the event in Berlin, Germany, the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith was crowned the first ever WWF European champion after a tournament final win over his fellow World Tag Team champion and brother-in-law Owen Hart, RIP Owen Hart. The final was the culmination of a tournament that took place over the course of a week-long tour of the country. The match aired on TV in the U.S. On March 3rd. Shout out to Davey Boy, British Bulldog, and Owen Hart. Rest in peace to both. European Championship. I mean, we kind of already have it covered with the Intercontinental and the U.S. champion, but European champion. That was a fun championship, especially when there were certain wrestlers like D'Lo Brown that would kind of be like. Well, I'm thinking about like I remember when D'Lo Brown was European champion, and he would pretend to be like from a different part of Europe every week.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I like that. So, kind of like what Chelsea does with the U.S. Championship in a sense. But yeah, man. I mean, European champion doesn't get the respect that the Intercontinental Championship got, but I always held it in that high regard as well. But
yeah,
I think we've done a better job of making the Intercontinental and the U.S. Championships equal compared to how the Intercontinental and the European Championship were kind of weighted.
Yeah, I would say it's. Let's say it's closer. I would say it's more.
The Intercontinental is still higher than the U.S. Championship, but I don't think there's a large gap in between either one of them.
The only thing that I would say is probably that there were bigger names, obviously, because those careers are done already. With like Kurt Angle, Jericho, Jeff Hardy,
Benoit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of names for the European title.
I think Eddie held the European title as well.
Eddie was a European champion. Yes, he was. But yeah, I like titles, so that's why I was just like, oh, this is perfect.
All right.
And then, this never gets old. No explanation really needed for this. February 28th, 2000. Mae Young giving birth to the Hand.
Yeah.
Putting the whole segment here, like, being in, interfering in this match between Mark Henry and, is this Crash Holly? And
probably, it's been a minute.
Yeah, bumping into, it's ridiculous. Bumping into Crash and then going into labor and giving birth to a hand. One of the most ridiculous moments we will ever experience or remember. You know what I'm saying? As children of wrestling in the 90s.
It was a wild thing to watch at the time, and it's still wild to think about now. It's like, wow, that was really on TV. Hilarious, especially with like, Mark Henry was somehow still excited. Like, Gerald Briscoe, he was throwing up, like legitimately throwing up, like wild. But even just the storyline to begin with was just weird and wild. But again, it's something that we're still talking about, 25 years later. So
hey, this is what happens. See, it's golden moments like this where I told you, like, the characters make things. You know what I'm saying? The gimmick, and you just take a gimmick to the extreme, that will make shit happen. You know what I'm saying? Mark Henry at this time is sexual chocolate. Yeah. He's so fucking horny. He can't control himself. You know what I mean? That he's fucking old women and getting them pregnant. You know what I'm saying? That's basically the logic that you have to put there. Yeah. And it's like, makes sense for the character. You know what I'm saying? He is sexual chocolate. So it's
I wonder,
ridiculous.
we need to have a what happened to this person in WWE? And I mean, the Hand is 25 years old now.
Yeah, right. What's the Hand up to?
Yeah, what's the Hand up to?
The Hand is definitely in Hollywood trying to like get like the pilot for the new Addams Family started. So he can be like a lead, like a lead role as Cousin Thing. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows that's like, it's like Vern Troyer and Mini-Me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He knows he's always gonna be tied to it. So it's like, I might as well lean in.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good. That's what he's doing. But we definitely need like a flash forward to see what happened in the 25 years of the Hand's life. Yeah. Like, what was his life like?
This is Wednesday season 2. I forgot Wednesday was out, so it's Wednesday season 2, and we actually get to see Cousin Thing. He's just knocking on every producer's door, trying to like make it happen at Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you take this last one.
Yeah, and it's funny I put this. So February 25th, 2013, probably JC's best match. Not Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
John Cena.
Okay.
John Cena.
But some might say that's the same person, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, neither can be seen. Neither can be seen in art. Omnipresent and what's it called when you know everything? Omniscient. That's right. Yeah. But either way, the classic Cena and CM Punk, and I felt like it was also appropriate just for the fact that we're going into Elimination Chamber and they're both in the match. And I'm like, oh shit, that was this week. And this is the match where we see John Cena pull a Hurricane Rana, right, like a jumping Hurricane Rana from his feet onto CM Punk. Not as bad as Nia Jax's. It wasn't good at all. It was like I'd give it like a 4 as far as like standing Hurricane Ranas go. But as far as pulling shit out of your ass, like, and me talking about like the kind of wrestling that I like, PWG, the whole, like, we understand y'all are wrestlers. You should know you shouldn't know everything, but you should have more of a repertoire of wrestling moves than I could ever imagine. Because you know how all this shit works. Like, you guys understand body mechanics and shit like that. Fucking John Cena pulling basically a Matt Hardy or actually it'll be a Carmelo Hayes right now, a diving, leg chop to the back of CM Punk as he's standing up. CM Punk pulls out a pile driver. We hadn't seen that in 10 years. And it was a sheer drop pile driver. Like, this wasn't one of the settled down or even like package pile driver looks devastating, is way safer than a normal pile driver because you're actually, their shoulders are just sitting on your thighs. You know what I'm saying? As they tuck their head, and that's it. So great match. I went back and watched all of this. This actually is like including entrances, 26 minutes. And this was, for the number one contendership to go and face Rock at WrestleMania 29. So there's your context, and great match.
That's crazy, man. You said 2013, so 12 years later, these dudes are going to be in an Elimination Chamber match.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Tonight. Those are some good book of wrestling. That's some good topics. I'm glad you added it to the doc.
And then just for our fantasy booking stuff, in the main event, I did actually put the quote down here. I'll just read this off real quick. He won this match, and then he won at Mania. John Cena defeated The Rock to win his record 11th WWE Championship, as well as avenging his loss to The Rock in the main of WrestleMania 28 the previous year. John Cena versus The Rock was the second time that a WrestleMania main event was back-to-back. The first being headline being Bret Hart and Yokozuna, WrestleMania 9 and 10. Which, of course, that brings me to Cody and Roman, nowadays, because they've been added to that list. But lots of story here. Lots of story, relevant story, I would say. Quite possibly coming up in the near future.
Definitely. That's some again, there's a lot, especially when you have people that have been around the business for so long in such a high capacity. There's always things that you can kind of look back on and be like, oh, are they pulling from this or that? Like, even with the Rock Cody, I want your soul bit is like one of my thoughts that I had. I'm like, is this like Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17, where Austin sold his soul to Vince McMahon?
Yeah,
but
absolutely, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but again, at that time, that didn't go off as the way they planned it, because like even in that turn, in that moment, Austin during that match was like unsure if they were if he was gonna turn, and whether to go through with the turn. And eventually, they actually ended up going through the turn. But since that match was in Houston, Texas, it's an automatic home crowd for Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they weren't gonna boo him, they didn't even realize that they were supposed to boo him, because they were just like, "Yeah, Austin won the championship," and it's like, bruh, like, this is a heel turn, and the crowd didn't pick up on it. And so maybe there's a way for this to, to kind of do it the right way, because they failed at it, 26 years ago or however long ago it was. But we'll get to that. We have enough time to talk about that. That's conversations for a later date. Let's hurry up and get to the go home show, SmackDown, Du Boutique. Decent show.
No, mid as fuck. Completely mid.
Okay.
I won't say that, but
I'll give them props for the Win Night U.S. Championship #1 contenders tournament that they did.
yes, for sure. Best thing on the show.
Because, I mean, the matches are like, okay, you could probably look at it. You could be like, okay, obviously, it was initially supposed to be Solo versus Andrade.
Mm-hmm.
But then he gave up his spot to Jacob Fatu. So maybe that's the one outlier of saying like who could probably come out as a winner. But I mean, the fact that they did all of this in one night, like they had 3 matches to determine who was going to be in that triple threat match, and then you had the triple threat match. I was like, that's like a King of the Ring type of kind of night, right, where it's like this whole thing is based around the entire U.S. tournament #1 contendership match, which was I thought that was an interesting way to leverage the show.
I like it because it adds gravity to it. It makes it feel like it's a bigger deal if you can have this one through line just carrying your entire show for 2 or 3 hours, where it's just all about the U.S. championship. Obviously, there's other things happening in the background. Of course, we have women on the roster, and you're going to have a Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton segment, but for what we're focused on right now, let's do this. You know what I mean? The same way that I've been parroting. We don't need to, as many titles as we have. We don't need to see every title every week. You know what I'm saying? So give people every champion should be on every other week, or champion contenders in their division should be on every other week. So we have coherent storylines and things of that nature. And then it's going to make it stand out when somebody crosses, the invisible, not forbidden door, because obviously the same company, but the division line, is like the moment that Chelsea Green becomes it's funny, but Chelsea Green going to challenge, Tiffany Stratton. So I think that's a funny match, honestly, just listening to that. But that should be a big deal when those two are in the ring together, because they are the champions. You know what I mean? Of the women. Just like the US title and the Intercontinental title should feel fucking important.
Yeah.
And they did that with this episode.
I'm glad they didn't drag it out, because usually they would do these qualifying matches for this week, and then the triple threat would be next week, and then the actual US championship contenders match would be 2 weeks from now. So the fact that you did all this in one night, and that means like probably next week is probably going to be, LA Knight versus Shinsuke, which again, you didn't even need the tournament to even figure that out, that LA Knight was probably going to even be the winner out of all of this. But hey, it was still entertaining enough. I liked the Carmelo Braun match. I like that Carmelo won with
Eddie.
lying and cheating and stealing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's my unofficial champion of the week, because I didn't have one off top of the pop culture reference. I'll just call it the Eddie Guerrero Viva la Raza lie, cheat, and steal to Carmelo Hayes, because anytime that's just great. That's just great. Now Braun brought it on himself, because he threw the chair back into the ring. Yeah. And I'm like, bruh, you brought this on yourself. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, no, I thought that was a great way to leverage 3 hours of a show and keep it consistent.
Yeah. The fact that Jacob didn't win obviously sits fine with me, but
he pretty much had the match won, and then LA Knight pulled him out, which again, it's like, bruh.
You understand that he's part of Bloodline storyline, but you're like, if this was in a vacuum, there's no way in hell either one of those two guys are walking out there with Jacob. Like, Jacob got the shooter ski on, bro. He got the fuzzy ski.
Yeah.
He a shooter, bro. Like, this is real shit. I told you, I am legitimately terrified of Jacob Fatu. I don't think anybody's walking around backstage like, oh yeah, I could square up with him. Nah.
It's funny. There was a video I saw a video of him this week of him helping Lex Luger put his wheelchair in the back of his car. And it's just like, oh, look, Jacob Fatu being like a fucking wholesome human being.
Yeah. Hey, that's still Bloodline character, though. Respect your elders, right? we respect our elders in the bloodline, so that's a thing.
One thing I want to mention about Jacob Fatu, and this relates back to what we were talking about with Liv Morgan and Raquel. Jacob won his qualifying match clean.
Yeah.
There was no Tamatanga. There was no solo. There was no shenanigans. He won that match against Andrade clean. Now, do I like Andrade taking losses? Not really. But you took it against against Jacob. Just win the match clean. Not everything needs to be a Dominic interference or shenanigans. Like, just win clean. If you that good, sometimes you just got to win clean. Triple H was the master of shenanigans. But you know what? He pedigree your ass in the middle of that fucking mat and get 1, 2, 3 clean. Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm just saying, bro. Like, Liv, you're good. You're good. You wrestle in the dungeon, in the heart dungeon. You're good. No, not everything needs to be this antagonizing, like, just annoying heel. Like, sometimes you got, like Kendrick says, sometimes you got to pop out and show niggas. Mm-hmm. And you ain't popping out and showing niggas. So that's why I'm like, you could do it with Solo. You could do it with Jacob. The same thing could happen with Liv and Raquel. Not everything, or other people of the Judgment Day. Not everything needs to always end in shenanigans. Like, it's a little tiresome.
Yeah,
a little tiresome.
Sure. Especially when you got a faction that big. I mean, you got to have that feeling of, numbers and stuff. But yeah, when you keep doing the same thing, it does feel, that's the right word for it. Just tiresome.
I mean, the same thing what could be said about the bloodline back before when, they always interfered in a match. It was like, these are pointless because
Roman was not a good
bloodline.
character.
Yeah, the bloodline is always going to come in interference.
Yeah, they will.
Which is like, so just it adds a little bit of variety.
I just don't want, I want to cheer Jacob, but I don't want him to have a face turn. Like, I think if anything, he would be a tweener the same way Swerve is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want WWE forcing that on me because we're already here. You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that, like you said, putting him over clean, that's a face win in a sense. You know what I'm saying? At least compared to the history of the character, where he's constantly interfering in Solo's matches or, Roman's matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just the proof that he can do it by himself, that says a lot, where I was like, damn. I guess you don't need the U.S. title. I mean, it's true. He doesn't need it, but I'm like, I want something, though. He needs something, but
he's going to get a title soon. I think he's going to get a title soon.
I do not disagree with Chelsea and Piper or Gold.
I get it. Yeah, like this literally could just be written every week, specifically, this is not even to the Tiffany and this is not even related to Tiffany and Trish Stratus. This is just Chelsea and Piper are amazing comedy. Piper is so underrated. Just as the Mountie, I was like, this is great. I love that she doesn't take herself seriously and can have fun with a lot of this. Chelsea, when they were talking about like, oh, if they want to have a match, maybe they should send down a referee. And then Chelsea like turns back and is like, Nicholas, don't send the referee. And then they send the fucking referee. It's just like, everything about them is just comedic perfection that I'm like, man, again, Chelsea has probably like, 2 more title defenses than Lyra the Valkyria, but has done more with that belt than Lyra has. Because why? She talks.
Well, the character is more over. Yeah, the character is like, I mean, that's night and day though, as compared to his characters, because we know.
I'm not saying she needs to be comedic, but again, like she talks. You know what I'm saying? Like
the character.
We understand the character. I don't understand Lyra's character other than that she's just a good wrestler. And so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you gotta let them showcase something rather than just being like, "Oh yeah, I'm a hardworking champion. I fight every week."
Yeah. This segment was really more so about, they were doing some heavy lifting, getting Tiffany over. That's what this was, because Tiffany was last in this segment, as far as I was concerned, as far as entertainment value, which is kind of crazy, but it makes sense when you're in Toronto already. We know Elimination Chamber is today, so you already got the Canadians there. You got Piper Niven dressed up as the most Canadian thing of all time. and we're just trying to get this Tiffany Stratton as a face thing over, because I think she is like, I just loved her in NXT. Like, her character on SmackDown has been the exact same character that was NXT, you know, the princess and everything. The only thing she dropped was her daddy, her NXT daddy, that would just hook her up with stuff. Clearly she was a sugar baby. But other than that, she's been the same, like, heelish kind of character. So because I really didn't, as I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this doesn't sit right with me for Tiffany right now. You know, it's just gonna take a little bit more time for me to believe her as a face. That's all. So that's also what I took from it. Yeah,
I agree.
The only other thing that I wanted to mention is something that we said already before. For my shake, just give us TLC already, because, and I mean tag team TLC, obviously. Just give us that at Mania, like we've been booking, because we don't even get a match started. It's just the tag team brawl. And it's like, all right, cool. I can see there's way more moving parts and stuff. Hopefully, fingers crossed, nobody gets hurt in the next 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Because I think this has a chance to be even better than TLC 2, honestly.
It could be.
Because it's more people, just by definition. It's more people.
And so all these people can do crazy stuff off these ladders and things of that nature. So I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. I hope that's the pathway that we're leading down to, is a TLC 4-way, or how many we got? MCMG, Pretty Deadly, Street Profits, Garza's,
DIY.
So 5-way TLC match. Jesus, I feel like we've had something
5-on-5s before.
Yeah, I feel like we've had
that's a thing. I mean, that's the Survivor Series, you know, traditional is 5-on-5. So you can do it.
This would be 10. This would be 10. Yeah.
10 men in the ring fair. With that's what it is. You Survivor Series is 5v5, so this would be 10 people. But just add tables, ladders, and chairs, and dangling the actual good-looking titles. I like those titles better than the Raw ones, anyway.
I hope so, but again, it still needs to end up with Street Profits running these dudes through the building.
Even just to be more specific about this segment, also the fact that, you know, Street Profits are coming down to the ring, DIY initiate this time, and the initial kerfuffle leads us to Street Profits standing tall again. Like, they were stomping mud holes like it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was at least like, that might have been a 25 count of like mud hole stomps in the corner that they gave to DIY, where I'm like, oh shit. One of the best things you can do to get something over is just keep doing it repetitively. The triple jump moonsault, Jacob Fatu, C Tsunami, Bronson Reed, C just stomping the shit out of somebody until you know they're just a pool of themselves. So yeah, if they do not stick these on Street Profits, it's gonna be gross. And
plus, they got the size advantage. Even just from a size advantage, the only team that's probably like from a size comparable is the Garzas.
Yeah, but
that's mostly Humberto. That's mostly Humberto, because Angel is kind of like, he's kind of like the size of like Santos.
Yeah, you're right. I think Montez is like 210, 215, something like that.
No, Montez like 225.
230? Oh no, he might be 230. Yeah, because he's probably like 6. He's probably my height, 6'3"
something like that.
Yeah, but either way, it better
anything
be
else from the bodega? Not bodega, from the boutique.
Nah, that's it.
We did have a Rock and Cody segment, which again I'm like, it was at least cut up for time better, because Rock was pre-recorded, though he said Cody Rhodes. He said Cody Rhodes or Cody in some form or fashion at least like 20 times. And I'm like, bruh, you need to stop. You need to, I would never thought I'd say this about The Rock, bruh. You need to practice your promo game a little bit. Because it seems like he's free balling it right now. He's kind of stumbling over his thoughts. But
I think that's all he's ever doing. Like he has like 4 story point notes. He has like 4 quotes in his head, And he's just like, I got to get these out. Everything else is just like filling for time / get you hyped up. He's just taking us on the ride.
It never felt like this much filling in for time, though. That's what I'll say. Like
even last week? Okay.
No, I'm talking about historically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about historically. If you're talking about this past year, from January to now, he's been stalling in a lot of his promos. I thought you talking about like, oh no, even Rock back in like 2002 was stalling. I'm like, nah, bro. But let's get to this pop-up show. Finally, the predictions. We have a 4-card match with also a choice by Cody Rhodes that he needs to give up to The Rock, whether he's going to give up his soul. That's obviously not on our predictions, but we'll at least talk about it. But let's get into this Elimination Chamber Toronto predictions. First match we got here is the Elimination Chamber match for the Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania 41. Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, Roxanne Perez.
Bianca.
I'm not
going to overthink it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bianca as well.
Yeah. I mean, we still need the whole Jade thing, right? That could happen tonight. And maybe you are right, and it was Naomi this whole time, but they ain't got shit to do with Bianca. So we have to get her back to the singles. You know what I'm saying? I don't put too much stock into Alexa Bliss. There is momentum behind her for being, coming back and everything. But really, I think it would be like I mentioned last week, like Roxanne Perez, them really putting her over as the prodigy. You know what I'm saying? So if she was just to like spawn, because Roxanne Perez is effectively in our kayfabe memory spawned in the last oh my god, that was so gross. For anybody watching, gonna skip past that. But if she just like spawns like 3 months ago, and now she's had a total of like 5 main roster matches, and she wins the women's world title. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She beats the women's world champion and becomes women's world in 5 matches, basically, like main roster matches. That's wild.
I said MCMG. MCMG won the tag team titles on the second night.
The second match, the second match. Yep, sure did. Pieces of shit.
Well, so let's see what Liv just won tag team champion. Bianca and Bayley, Bianca and Naomi both lost their titles.
Yep.
Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, who's had a bit of a rivalry recently with Bayley, pinned Bayley last night in that 6-woman tag match. Alexa Bliss comes out and gives her the sister Abigail to Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
I have a thought that one of Bianca or Naomi doesn't make it to this match.
Yeah.
I think maybe Naomi gets taken out.
Yeah, Jade takes out Naomi. And
you probably get looked at. You probably look at Raquel as maybe the person who did it, but then Jade maybe ends up replacing Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a confrontation with Jade and Bianca in the ring, because the only person that really knows what happened is Jade.
Exactly. That's a fact. Yeah.
And so by that logic, that almost eliminates Bianca and gets us on a road to Bianca versus Jade at WrestleMania. I'm still going to go Bianca, but if I have to, if I go by that logic and I have to eliminate Bianca, which in turn eliminates Naomi / Jade.
I mean,
is it Bayley that wins the chamber as your second choice?
My second choice would be Roxanne, honestly, because Alexa Bliss just got to SmackDown, so she would be challenging for the WWE title more than anything. So that'd be Alexa and Charlotte. By the time we get to Mania.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the case. Naomi. Like I said, we're hashing it out with this storyline right now.
Mm-hmm. Technically, she wouldn't even be in this match. It would be Jade.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah. Liv, like you said, she's tag team champ. Like that's just gonna be Judgment Day stuff. She's not winning the title back from Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
That would be what, match 4 for them?
87.
You, I was gonna say, do you need Liv as like the eternal? I mean, she's played eternal rival great basically to her so far, so she's been Rhea's biggest foil up to this point in character. Which I don't think I want that run back, at Mania.
I don't either. Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't put that there. Roxanne makes the most sense to me. She would be my second choice. Like if I'm locking this in, just these 6, I would choose Bianca and then Roxanne because I just think that's a fucking insane story. And like you just said, we just got the visual of her pinning Bailey. It's not like she's not a legitimate threat. We think because she's smaller that those pop rocks don't hurt, but that shit hurt. Yeah.
But my whole thing especially since Rhea came up on the main roster, I'm like, Bianca and Rhea is this generation's Austin versus Rock. And we need this generation's Austin and Rock to happen at WrestleMania. They had Austin and Rock fought at WrestleMania 3 times. We haven't seen Bailey versus Rhea at WrestleMania yet. This needs to be the first one.
Okay, so Bailey would be your second choice then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go if we're not counting. We're not doing Royal Rumble rules here. Yeah, as far as picks, but yeah, mine would be Bianca, Bailey, Roxanne.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 3.
Yeah. Nice. That's right. Just for the vibe, I would go. I mean, that's a good point that you said that Bailey hasn't faced Rhea at Mania, so it's like, all right.
Did I say Bailey? I meant Bianca. If I said Bailey, I meant Bianca.
Okay. Yeah. But then again, we might as well check the history books. Has Bailey and Rhea come to blows in WrestleMania? I don't think that's happened.
I don't think so. Because Rhea's only had like 2 or 3 WrestleManias.
Yeah, and 2 of them are against Charlotte. So
yeah.
Anyway, I think that's enough. But yeah, I would go Bianca, Roxanne, Bailey, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I would put Alexa there just for vibes, but like I just don't think it makes sense to choose on SmackDown, and that's the other championship,
Yeah.
Who you got in this unsanctioned match?
It has to be Kevin, man.
Yeah, it's Kevin.
It has to be Kevin, man. Like Kevin's been taking so much BS from like the last few weeks and just months, and it's like at some point you have to have him being proven right in a certain sense. I think Sammy is going to be stretchered out. We ain't gonna see him for about like maybe until a month. We probably won't see him for like a week before WrestleMania or something like that. But like he is going to be written off TV.
The way that I got it is because this doesn't count. Literally, it's an unsanctioned match. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not the fact that like it's not like AEW where they keep track of records where it's supposed to matter. But even still, this is something like, oh, you guys will fuck each other up so much that we can't be held liable for this, right? My thought in that is that it will come to fruition. The ladder war, the Ring of Honor ladder war will happen. Kevin Owens will win this. And I think it's Randy coming back at Mania. Can you believe a Randy and KO, like the beginning of this, like, anti-Cody Super Friends shit. You know what I'm saying? But
so Randy will come back on Kevin's side?
Yes.
I would need to refresh my mind on like, did Kevin do anything to take out Randy?
That was the first package pile driver we saw.
Okay.
That was the first one that we saw. So he took out Randy. But maybe Randy's just been in the hospital bed watching film or watching, SmackDown like us. And he's like,
this nigga's making some points.
He's like, I take a bigger point of view at this. And it's like, that actually do make a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? And Randy is prone to punching people in the head. So it's like, it wouldn't be like his first double cross. You know what I'm saying? Or it would be like I don't know. I don't want to book Mania already, but
Randy does hear voices in his head, so maybe those voices are Kevin Owens. So hey, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I'll go with that.
Okay. Um, Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. We are in Toronto. This is in Canada. We got Chelsea out
Do
here
I
looking
trust
like a.
Trish Stratus with Tiffany Stratton?
She did just backstab Becky, didn't she? Like that was the rivalry last year. Like, yo, look at Trish. She
Or
can
yeah,
still
2 years
fucking
ago, like
go.
that.
Or
Yeah.
2 years ago, yeah, that was crazy. Like, yo, y'all like really got like a good 2 months, 3 months out of that. I think this is where I say like it's hard for me because similar to SmackDown, I think that this is you're just trying to make sure that Tiff is in lockstep face with the crowd, and that's why you're pulling out all the stops for her. But
Yeah.
Chelsea's gonna get chance. Chelsea's gonna get chance. Trish, that's why you got brought Trish to balance her out because there's no way you could do Chelsea versus Tiff straight up in Toronto and have the crowd react appropriately.
I think this plays out in two ways because this goes back to the points that I've made earlier in the show where it's like that's to what you just mentioned right now that they're trying to pull out all the stops for Tiffany, right?
Yes.
Especially with her going through this kind of face transition, if you want to say that this is WWE trying to tell us something that we should be believing in.
Yes.
So if I have to take away the storyline aspect out of it, it's hard not to pick Tiffany and Trish winning this match. Now, there's something about does having Trish turn on Tiffany make it even more something that you should be believing in Tiffany as being the face. I guess is there something, but even though she has something that she can go, she has a Charlotte storyline, you know. Also,
that's what I was about to get at. That's what I was about to get at.
But I guess wouldn't it be something to see Tiffany Stratton next to Charlotte? Not Tiffany, Trish Stratus next to Charlotte, going against Tiffany Stratton. That's such a mountain for Tiffany to overclimb.
Sure, yeah, that's a lot. And I would say that
two of the all-time greatest women's wrestling blondes, especially.
That might be like the ultimate, like, I don't know, ultimate uphill battle, you know, for that. I'm like, Trish did a lot. She was like, her, Lita, and Jazz were basically the only women's wrestlers for like, you know, like a 3, 4, 5 year period, like where you could be taken seriously until Charlotte comes along, and now, you know, now we're in the best era of women's wrestling, thank God. But I'm not overthinking it. We're trying to make her a face because Charlotte's clearly the heel for Mania. You know what I'm saying? Charlotte's winning at Mania. You can write home about it right now. So Trish can backstab her or not, but you telling me that at Mania the entrances are going to happen. Trish is going to come out as part of like Charlotte's entrance. And be in her corner, and then Tiffany's gonna overcome both of them. Nah, dog. I'm saying kayfabe wise, nah, dog. Like that's Charlotte 14-time champion and a 8-time champion.
I gotta go with you, and I gotta go believe that this is more of WWE wanting me to believe in Tiffany Stratton, rather than telling me a story. I'd rather not, just because I'm trying to get a win here, but I'm gonna have to agree. I'm gonna go with Tiffany.
So you can't beat her like she can't. I mean, obviously, Candice LeRae could take the pin, but I was like, you're not gonna have, or Trish could take the pin, excuse me, but you're not gonna have your champion losing into Mania. You know what I mean? Because that's just another distracting storyline. That'd be a continuation of
match.
I get it. We got 6 weeks. We got 6 weeks also, so it's like. You can carry it for like 3 weeks, and you know maybe you actually have the blow off of this, you know, 2 weeks from now or something like that, and then you get on Mania. So there is that possibility, but I'm just like I said, I'm not going to overthink it. It's like, hey,
I'm not going to overthink that one.
Keep my arms length.
Men's Elimination Chamber match for the undisputed WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 41. We got Cena, Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and my guy, Seth freaking Rollins.
CM Punk is winning this match.
I'm going to go John Cena.
Okay. Congratulations on your first W of 2025.
Hey, you might be able to pull this out too. Shit. It could be Drew. It could be. It's definitely. It's funny because they did the predictions on Masked Man show, and they were like they both. I think Cass picked Punk, and then I think Brian and Shoes picked John Cena, and then for like their second place, they flip flop and they picked
it would be
Cena,
the other way around. And then they did the same thing with 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. With Damian Priest and like Logan Paul at the back. But yeah, I agree with Kaz in the sense that like, let's just believe people like what they say. CM Punk came here to make money and be in the main event of WrestleMania. That doesn't mean win. That means be in the main event of WrestleMania. I'm not saying that there was any guarantees made like when he came back or anything like that, but Cena, you could put the strap on at any point in time. I do like the booking that Kaz came up for with him. Is like, hey, finally put the heel pants on. And if that was the case, either one of these guys, whether it's CM Punk or it's Cena, either one of them, they would be turning heel at Mania. Because I have CM Punk, we're going to do the WrestleMania 17 with Punk and The Rock. Like, in the match. It'll happen in the match where Cody gets screwed out. Or whatever the fuck. Excuse me. Cody turns on CM Punk because he's anti-establishment. And we just get the double turn. You know what I'm saying? I guess it wouldn't be a turn for CM Punk, but that's what I would have. Where Cody is the corporate champion. He does end up selling his soul. He's just not going to sell it tonight. He'll stretch it out.
I can see that. I can see him not selling. I can see him kind of giving him a wishy-washy answer tonight, and we're still going to be waiting to see what happens all the way up until probably WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, and we don't have his answer, so it's like we're going to be thinking about that during the match, and I think like either one of them will be doing that. So if it is Cena, and if he wins this match, and right now I would have him losing Mania, Cena, assuming he doesn't sell his soul, right? Because that would end up being effectively like 2-man power trip type of thing. The Rock and Cena, like all the recognizability, I guess, and fame that WWE has put out in the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't need shit else. And now we're just going to be held hostage by, once again, like the big boss man.
Isn't that that? Again, I feel like this is a remake of WrestleMania 17. And it's no different than what I just said about Tiffany versus Trish versus Charlotte, having Trish Stratus and Charlotte's back and Charlotte's corner. It's like on one side, in the regards to Trish and Charlotte, you have basically the pinnacle of women's wrestling prior to the Divas Revolution.
Yep.
Right? In between Charlotte and Trish Stratus. Going against the woman that is supposed to be, the next in line, right? And Tiffany Stratton. And in this case, with John Cena possibly selling his soul to The Rock, you get a 2-man power trip that didn't get a chance to really have their chance because Triple H ended up tearing his ACL.
Yeah.
2 weeks after the fucking, whole thing happened. But in this case, John Cena and The Rock and line step in a partnership. The two most money-driven people that have brought since Hulk Hogan and Austin, but like in the year 2000s.
You didn't shut up about Peacemaker. Point that out. You know what I'm saying? We just started talking about how Fast Five's the best one.
Yeah,
that should tell you some shit already.
Yeah, like you got another Fast and Furious movie coming out. You have Peacemaker coming out. You have John Cena movies coming out. You have Moana 2. You have everything that The Rock was saying to Cena. On Monday night or whenever that was 2 weeks ago or last week on SmackDown. The same thing that him and John Cena did. And for John Cena to never have a heel persona, probably since he was like the doctor of thugonomics. But even that, he was a tweener of a heel.
He was a tweener heel. Yeah, exactly. We
You know
still
what I'm
liked
saying?
him. Yeah.
To come back, the WWE loves their alliterations, man. You could either have you could have corporate Cody, you could have corporate Cena.
Yeah.
And I can see John Cena do the exact same shtick. You don't have to change up the music. Yeah. He can come out in the jorts. He could do everything, but all that shit looks different when it has a corporate backing.
Yeah, yeah.
And Cena doesn't even need to drop the title. He can hold the title all the way to December, pass it off to The Rock, and then The Rock will hold it to determine who he feels should be his champion.
Yeah. Vacant, the all-time winningest champion.
And that's how you get to WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So that's why I go. And then that gives Cena the most championships of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to do it because he had to sell his soul, because he knew this is his last chance to ever be WWE champion. That's how I see. That's how I'm gonna go with it. So Cena is my.
Okay, so you're booking that, and then you're booking him to win at Mania, clearly, because that's okay. Because I was like, either way, the turn is gonna happen at Mania. At least in my head, it's not gonna happen now. So, maybe it'll be. I think it's more believable. Maybe it's revealed that Cena is corporate beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't believe that he would even win this match right now. He wouldn't believe.
Again, I think for both these guys, they're gonna be flirting with Rock essentially. Of like, they're gonna be flirting with the idea of joining The Rock and being on his side and selling their soul. But then there's gonna be the other time where they're gonna be fighting against it. So I think going into that match, we don't know who's going to make the turn.
Man, I would love
whether it be Cena or Cody. And I think we'll find out that it's going to be Cena, because Cena's just that desperate.
Yeah,
the nigga threw himself. The nigga threw himself in an elimination chamber match without even having to qualify for it. All the other dudes have to qualify.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I said. Congratulations, you got it. We got
also though,
because really,
Punk could easily get put into it because he still has the favor.
Because mine would be, if we're like already fast tracking WrestleMania 42, that means that we're having Cody Roman 3. And we've flipped positions at this point in time. That's what I would have. And now we actually got like hopefully a fully formed good tribal chief, because at this point he still hasn't changed. So hopefully he turns face, wholeheartedly. And we got corporate Cody. I would love to see that, and then have him win going over that time. Because now it's like a full circle moment. You know what I mean? But whatever. That's another year from now.
We'll see what happens. We only have 4 more hours until Elimination Chamber starts, so we'll see in the near future. You want to wrap it up for us, Moody? Take us home with their champions of the week.
Yeah, these are pretty loosely put together, but once again, these are both the inspired, struck by lightning in the moment as I'm watching it. The Talia Al Ghul and Dark Knight Rises title goes to Tony Khan and the NXT crowd. And I don't know if you saw, but the picture of Batman, that's obviously Tony Khan. That's like, what the fuck? You remember that scene about slipping the knife in and twisting it also.
Yeah.
And them saying, Tony fumbled. And I say it's a twist or a surprise, because I think for sure NXT fans are in a vacuum closer to AEW fans than AEW fans are to like main roster Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they are more of like, let's say, King of the Indies versus the indie WWE, basically. And the fact that they're more aligned and like, they recognize Ricky Saints and all that stuff immediately. And for them to just like be like, after all I've done for you, I've given you Ricky Saints, I've given you Lexus King back. Come on, guys. Like Ethan Page, he didn't fuck with that. So I got, the surprise on Tony's face is him as Batman from that movie. And my other champion of the week, that's Talia Al Ghul champion. And then we got the Vince McMahon local medical facility title for being a actual terrible doctor staff. to the AEW staff. Like, so directly after this, I don't know if you remember, MJF reveals, oh, maybe you should check on your friend, Christopher Daniels, who's bleeding from his forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman runs backstage, and in the camera's following him, right? And you can see in the shot, like he comes around, runs through the back, makes a right turn, and you can see like the straight shot, like down in the distance. You can see people standing there, like 4 or 5 people. And as the cameras are getting closer, you're like, I'm like, nigga, those are the doctors right there. Like they all in the camera shit, like not doing nothing. With Christopher Daniels bleeding from a hemorrhage in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And like you see them like duck off like real quick. They duck out of camera view, or they try to. By that point, it's way too late. And Hangman is there, and you see him look just directly in their in their view. He's like, "Come on, like check him out." And I was like, "Nah, dog, nah, y'all suck. Y'all should have taken him to a local medical facility instead of having these shitty doctors." Clearly,
right? What do you pay them? What do you pay them for? Why are you there? Why are you even there?
I made it the Vince McMahon local medical facility because, like, clearly he needs to go to a hospital. You're giving him, like, he needs a real doctor, and these guys don't even realize he's bleeding from his head. You know what I'm saying? So, just terrible medical staff. They're like the New Orleans Pelicans, New Orleans Saints of medical staffs, over there at AEW. But yeah, those are my champions.
Yeah, and I threw my unofficial one earlier when I gave it to what did I say? I said the Viva la Raza.
Yeah, to Dominic or to Carmelo.
Carmelo for pulling off the Eddie Guerrero lie, cheating, and stealing. That always works. That'll always work with me.
It never gets tired.
It never gets old. You know what I'm saying? So,
because that's the most believable thing that a ref should be fucking up anyway. The fact that you were distracted for a split second and oh, you had your back turned. Okay, cool. That's always a classic. But reversing it into the fact of instead of hitting somebody with it, like, no, he hit me. DQ, bitch. Love it.
Game, set, match. All right, that is it for us. Episode 34 of the Wrestling Re-Up podcast. And we are only a couple hours away from watching Elimination Chamber. And we'll see if I'm able to actually get a W.
You will.
And even if this is a pity W, I'll take it. So,
because we know we're not going face into Mania. We're not going face into Mania. That's not happening.
Well, you got The Rock. The Rock will make anybody turn heel at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, yep. If Cena wins tonight, that means he's winning Mania.
We'll see. Any last thoughts before we head out, Moody?
Yeah, just a reminder for everybody to follow us on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, here at YouTube. Everything is at the Wrestling Re-Up, no hyphen across, and send us email at thewrestlingreup@gmail.com.
Hey, that's what's up. And we'll be back next week for episode 35 to talk about everything that happened at Elimination Chamber, while also getting prepped up and making predictions for AEW Revolution that happens next Saturday or Sunday. Anyway, sometime next weekend. So a lot of wrestling on the way. And then, it's the road to WrestleMania. So there's just going to be a lot more content coming up down the way. So until next week, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace.